All right, welcome back, fellow classical bums. We are doing our fourth live stream. We have a stacked panel here today. So I just wanted to welcome everybody. We're going to have a nice conversation. I did have some stuff to jump into to start us off, but I just wanted to ask how everybody's doing. How are you, Danny?
Terrific. Thanks
Awesome.
for having me. Great to see you guys all. Outside of Mark, yourself, Mike, and Flowering
Spikes.
That's Greg. It's so tiny. I'm so sorry, man.
That's okay.
Are you looking on your phone?
Yes.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. I did want to start with just a little, a quick kind of just PSA. So a lot of people who are subbed up to the Jazz Bums are focused on jazz as well as other genres, but classical sometimes can be a little bit of an unknown genre for record collectors. So I just want to do a quick PSA because we have great experts on the panel that have that create great content. So I'm going to link all this stuff in the description, but just for people who are unfamiliar with classical but are interested in getting into it, it's if you go through these videos, these are great starting points, and you'll start to realize kind of what to look out for. You'll start making connections with the stuff you collect and labels and stuff like that. So I just wanted to jump in because I thought this could be fun. So first of all, we're going to go through three channels. So kind of the core.
That's a great one.
Well, the reason. Okay, so hold on. So this is the kind of the core classical bums 3 channels I'm going to go through, and why you should definitely check these out if you're interested in classical. So the reason why I freeze framed it here is because this is obviously Michael's channel, but he has this video where he goes through a number of classical labels. And goes into detail about pressings so you can know what to look for as a collector. So this is a great one to start with. It's an hour and 14 minutes long, and he goes through, I mean, this was pretty much like ground zero for my understanding of what to look for when you go to the record shop and check out the classical section. So this is definitely one to start with. And I'll go through these quickly. But Michael also has this other one where it's like 25 records to start a record collection. This is a good one.
I would change that one now, but...
Okay. All right. Well, still, this I think still holds up generally. If you're interested, you get into the music, you talk about, influences and things like that. And then finally, he does a Decca episode. So the Decca label is really fun to collect. So this is a deeper dive into a label. So this is cool. Next, we have Mark from Music on Record. So I pulled up this video. This is Collecting Classical Records, Where to Begin, Part 1. So Mark tells a great personalized story about his own collecting experience and what records he loves and why. So he has a series here. So definitely check out Mark. These are also great and will hurt your wallet. Yes.
Will we have time to talk about their hairdos?
No, hold on. Okay, and then I just pulled up for Greg. Instead of just keep pulling up stuff, Greg does deep dives on certain labels, series, etc. So you could just go to his channel and pick anyone you want. He'll talk about the fidelity, who plays for them, what records to get of theirs. So this is also a great resource to get familiar with classical collecting. And then finally, we have Greg from Flowering Spikes, and he has a host of videos as well. And instead of actually just clicking on any of them, you can see he does reviews of some of the new reissues. So he talks about the Deutsche Grammophon series that's out, analog production series, so all that audiophile stuff. He has great videos on this stuff too. So between the 3 of these channels, you will definitely be able to buy, and build your classical collection confidently. And it's really fun, and I highly recommend just to go. So anyway, that's my preamble. Any thoughts on that before we move on?
Brilliant.
All right, cool.
The show is
right.
over.
And
So
also, I'll just quickly
you.
say that if you're wanting to keep up to date on new stuff, both Michael and I, Poetry and Plastic, Michael Johnson and myself, we're writing on trackingangle.com, which is a great resource. And then I just recently did an interview with Danny, who is well into his cups, I can see. And yeah, great. And I'm going to be putting up a really fun video in a few weeks. When my daughter was here in LA, we recorded a whole series of videos driving around LA talking about classical music, pop music.
I want to watch that.
Very much from her point of view, earliest memories, stuff like that. And I've edited the first video. It'll go up in a couple of weeks probably. And that's going to be really fun, coming at all this from a slightly different angle. And I'll also just say that I've just watched, and then I'm going to go back for a deep dive into Michael, Poetry on Plastic. He has other passions, one of which is particularly Japanese pop music. And
I like the rock and metal too.
Yeah. Not quite my speed, but the Japanese stuff. And he just put up a great video, and I've watched it once. It's great. But now I'm going through individual records and looking at, then going on YouTube or whatever to listen to them and see which ones I'm interested in. I also want to do a great big plug here for Michael Muller, who's a composer. I wrote a review of his most recent album, which was on Deutsche Grammophon, and he does these beautiful little videos, very different aesthetic, and yeah,
If
his
you want
stuff
the
is
most
great.
aesthetically pleasing YouTube content available in the vinyl community, Michael's channel is where you will find it.
Yeah, Michael,
Thanks.
you're a little quiet. Poetry on Plastic. Can you bring your volume up a
It
little
should be
bit?
on automatic. Let me check.
Is everyone else finding him a little quiet?
No, it sounds okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have a microphone here, and it's on automatic volume. So
That's
can you all
better.
hear me okay?
That's
Sounds fine.
much better.
If I move back like this, does it still capture me?
Yep.
Okay.
It's a little quieter when you move back.
Okay. Let me just increase the gain and see what happens. Is that better?
I think
About the same.
Okay. I think the program is doing it automatically. So
yeah,
Okay.
it might be.
But Michael Muller's channel is called Noted and Archived.
Yes, yeah,
Great channel.
great channel.
And Sonic Flare, of course, Danny is great.
Shout out to Sonic Flare.
I'm expecting him to keel. Danny, you're just going to keel over at some point. You're just going to go like this.
All right,
Well,
so
great to see you, Rob.
yes, and Rob.
So I
I'm
wanted
here
to,
as Mike's emotional support animal.
Yes, exactly. So I wanted to. Oh, you're pointing like when you point, we're not all in the same
I'm
place. on
pointing
this
to
screen.
that, Mike. I think from that video that Mike showed earlier of your channel, looks like you aged 20 years.
Yeah. This is this may or may not remain.
I don't know. You're
It's-
a different person than that.
Yeah. Well, that other haircut was not in reg. I do want to mention that me and Rob are actually going to be on the. Did I get the date right? Is the 19th?
A week from Saturday, I think.
Yeah, a week from Saturday. Me and Rob are doing a classical auction. It's the first time I've done something like that, and it's going to be basically all the records that I don't think I'm ever going to have time to play. So it's stuff that was in my collection that I like it, but it's just not getting rotation time. So it's going to be a lot of bundles. It's going to be a lot of bundles of like Columbia and Bernstein, a lot of bundles of Columbia and Philadelphia, a lot of bundles of Deutsche Grammophon releases, a lot of bundles of Puccini box sets, Mozart box sets, things like that. So if you want to buy like we're gonna do like packages of records for a very affordable price, check that out.
Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely be there. Okay, so I was digging into Discogs last week, and I was just thinking about. We're not going to talk about mono and stereo, but that's kind of what drew me there, with regards to classical. And I found 3 records that I want to show you guys to see if you know what the commonality between the 3 are, besides that they're expensive records. Okay, so the first one here. There's 5 copies starting at $350. This is a Mozart Jubilee Edition series on Epic. I believe this might be a stereo, but I think it's a mono. There's this one, so let me see a picture here. We have this one. It's expensive. It's $550. Chopin on Epic as well, 1956 2LP.
Michael, do you know this pianist? Never heard of him.
I don't.
Okay, and one more. This one is a 7-inch 45 from 56 on RCA Camden. One copy for $2,000.
Wow.
But the cover's by Andy Warhol.
Yeah, but let's go back. That's what someone's trying to get for it, right?
Well, hold on. So the commonality
you look at the highest sold. It's only $800, which I mean I say only, but
But the reason is the cover is by Andy Warhol.
So that's the commonality. I should have
look at the one that's for sale.
Ratings too. So
look at the one that's for sale. I wonder if it's got something special about it, like maybe it's autographed or something.
It looks like it's in near mint condition.
It says I'm a dirtbag record seller, and I'm trying to get the most.
So anyway. So Mark, you got it spot on. So I think the reason why these are sought after is these are Andy Warhol classical album covers.
Amazing.
So this is a 7-inch. This is obviously.
I love this. Oh God, they're great. I never knew he did classical album covers. It's amazing. Right. I love that one.
For Epic.
The reason is because I just got this in. This is a Blue Note, but this is a Kenny Burrell, and this is an Andy Warhol cover. Mm-hmm. So that got me down the rabbit hole.
Well, did you enter his name into Discogs to see how many album covers he's done?
Yeah. So those are 3. There's there's a number of classical. Those are just 3 cool ones, but yeah, he did rock, jazz, and some classical, and some classical was unattributed. It looks like he did that earlier in his career, like I guess early 50s or so. But anyway, I just thought that was fun.
That is so cool. A future episode we could do is album art.
For sure.
We all pick like favorite classical albums.
One of the better Instagram accounts to follow is anyone here familiar with the conductor Leonard Slacken?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's doing that amazing series.
Yes, he does a series on really weird, interesting classical album covers. And some of the records he's shown I have. My favorite one is I wonder if I can find it. Maybe Mike, you can find it on Discogs. There's this really interesting. It's an album of Elgar and oh God, who was the American composer that had the cacophonous bands? What composer? Ives.
Ives.
There we go.
Yeah.
So it was an album of Elgar and Ives. I think it was Enigma Variations and like Ives Symphony 4th of July or something. And it was this man and woman, like in very obviously like 70s like blue jean denim with a British flag and American flag T-shirts, walking holding hands on the cover.
Yeah, I have that record. It's a London.
Interesting. Yeah.
London. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, he's been doing a series on Facebook where he just posts the covers of all these albums that he's done, that his family was involved in. And now this cues up a wonderful point I want to bring up with Mike, who is the Frank Sinatra enthusiast.
Okay.
So as a result of getting the lark, I discovered that historian who wrote all the notes, whose name is now escaping me.
Oh, yeah.
Who wrote the book on Sinatra records that you have.
Yeah, it's Sessions with Sinatra by, I can't remember his name right now.
I can't remember his name. I don't have it to hand. But I got myself a copy and I started reading it. And I'm a huge fan, in particular, of the Sinatra, the Capitol records, obviously.
Yeah.
And my favorite Sinatra record is Only the Lonely, as it is for many people. Nelson Riddle, conducting arrangements, etc. Fantastic. Now, I always knew that Leonard Slatkin's father was called Felix Slatkin, and he was a famous violinist. He did tons of session work in LA. He also formed, as Michael Poetry on Plastic will know, the Hollywood String Quartet, which made some of the very finest string quartet records in this country ever.
Didn't he also conduct the Hollywood Bowl Orchestra for a couple Capitol recordings? Yeah, I think I have one or two of
this
those.
is what we're coming to. So he was the go-to, one of the go-to violinists on all those Nelson Riddle, etc. sessions. And what I learned from reading the book, that particular album, Nelson Riddle was not available. So Felix Slatkin actually conducted
That's right.
nearly all of those
Yes.
recordings, like 2/3 of them.
And yes, go ahead.
And it's what a fabulous little nugget.
Well, do you know what, like, okay, so one of the things about that session is that Frank tried to do Lush Life, and he only did one take on it, and he like couldn't hit it. And there's a recording of it, and it still sounds good, but you could hear like where he struggles in it before he moves to the. And anyway, the thing is, if Riddle was there, Riddle would have said, "Let's do it again," and we would have had a Lush Life of Sinatra. Is the theory?
Is the theory?
But
So
there is
Frank,
a person
he wouldn't.
Great.
He wouldn't record it. I mean, he wouldn't let it, if his voice was not up to it. But I've always felt that record, those performances in the orchestra, have a certain quality, which I feel sets it apart from all the other Sinatra, Riddle records, and the other arrangers too, but those ones in particular. And I have to wonder, Slatkin was conducting and he was a classical musician. So maybe that's why it just has a certain quality in the way the orchestra plays. I mean, it's one of the greatest records ever. If you preserve 10 records to take in all of history to take to a desert island, you take that record. It's amazing. So it's interesting, and that he's Leonard Slatkin's father. He died very young. He died, I think, in his 40s of a heart attack or something. Very young. Yeah.
A lot of the I want to say like 2 years ago when I was demoing this Audio-Technica mono cart that I have, and I was really playing a lot of mono records. I played a good deal of like Capitol mono orchestral records, and a lot of them sounded pretty good. They had nice string tone. I think I had this one record that was Copland's Quiet City, and it actually sounded pretty nice. It just didn't sound good with anything super dynamic. But like the tonal color on a lot of those records is for the mono era. It was actually really nice.
Well, I've got a bunch of the Sinatras of that period of monos. They're not the first pressings, but I think they're the second or third. I can't remember. And they sound great.
I got a few with Rob at a
really
garage
good.
sale.
There's a certain level of power in his voice on that, and I think the recording has like that, like sometimes records just are like magical, like just everything is perfect. I feel like Only the Lonely is one of those, because I always say my favorite is Wee Small Hours, but sonically and I don't know, like, there you go.
I have a few different versions. I have the MoFi mono of that.
This is a stereo.
Yeah.
Nice.
I have a much later Canadian stereo, which also sounds amazing, but the MoFi mono is very special. I mean, I'll just say Blues in the Night. It starts off, and then when the basses come in, my mother done told me, and then the basses come in, doom, doom, like that. And the presence of it is just amazing. The recording, all of it, it's incredible. Yeah, these are wonderful.
This is my
records.
only MoFi Sinatra. All the Sinatra MoFis they did those all analog. They used the real tape.
Yeah, I would love to get the whole run. I mean, I wouldn't mind having the earlier box too. That's a whole other
Kenny, you must have
conversation.
that MoFi box, right?
No,
Danny?
I do not.
Oh,
No.
really?
The best sounding Only the Lonely by a wide margin that I've ever heard is and I'm sure it was a digital transfer. I can only assume it was. That 45 RPM 2 LP set that came out, gosh, 3-4 years ago, I want to say, from Capitol.
Really?
Yeah.
Never heard that one.
If you can find it, I don't know if it's out of print or not, or whatever. I don't even know if it was a hot seller. Man, that is the single best sounding version of that record I've ever heard.
And you know what, Danny? I feel like even like the Wee Small Hours, they put out like the UME version of it.
Mhm.
That is the best sounding version of that record too. And I
Oh,
don't know
really?
what the source material is, but I have original first stampers of that and then later stampers. And this thing is
Oh,
the first stamper is really, really nice, but it just the new one is
Yeah.
crystal clear.
yeah.
Danny, that's easily available.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
I
I'm
figured
gonna
it
get
would be.
that. I wonder who cut that.
I have
I'm
no
so
idea.
intrigued.
That's a Ron McMaster transfer, so that might be from the tapes.
Okay.
Huh.
And you prefer
okay.
it? Have you heard the MoFi Mono, Danny?
Yes. Oh, I've
And
heard all of them. I've got
Yeah.
an original mint. I've got a reissue mint. I've got the MoFi. Trust me, this is the one that.
Wow.
And I was surprised. It was like one of those things that I was like, should I get it? Should I not? All right, whatever. You know, the completist in me. All right, I'll get it. And I put it on, and I was like, wait, what? What just happened?
Does it say 60th anniversary on it? Is it that?
I think so. I
Yeah,
think
that's
so.
fine.
Yes. That's the
Oh
one.
God, we're all heading over to Discogs before anyone else. Unbelievable.
All right, so I'm gonna switch it back over to classical.
Yeah, I just bought it.
Oh,
It's $30.
okay. So this was my biggest find since last we spoke. This is a box of Shostakovich
Yes.
strings. It's string
jealous.
quartets number
It's
1 to 13, and it's
one
the
of the
Fitzwilliam
greats.
string quartet.
Beautiful.
And this is a string quartet founded in '68 by 4 Cambridge students. It's the first group. It's the first group. Oh, sorry, I'm hearing some kickback here, but they performed the first group to perform the 15 string quartets from Shostakovich, and he was a personal like friend or acquaintance of them, and gave them the 15th one early, along with some other quartets that got it. But yeah, this is cool. So there's a huge evolution within his life when he's writing these. So the first 4, sorry if my dogs are barking, but the first 4 are more traditional, and then 5 through 8 he starts kind of getting introspective and dark, and then the last 4 are pretty like they're even more like avant dark sounding. So anyway, it's a really cool box. I enjoyed listening.
Did
to
you
it.
find it? Did you find it at your local store, or did you?
Yeah.
How much?
I think it was like 100 or something like that.
Oh, that's really, you did well.
Yeah.
How many LPs are in that?
So it
13,
is,
14, some.
yeah, it's a number of them. Doesn't say here. But,
Am I right? Am I right in remembering that the original releases of those were on L'Oiseau Lyre, or?
That's a really good question. I'm not sure.
I think
actually.
the original releases of those Fitzwilliam records were on L'Oiseau Lyre. I'm pretty sure.
And they call Fitzwilliam after the
Yep, they were.
Fitzwilliam Virginal book, which is one of the seminal early collections of English keyboard music.
I was wondering
That's why they call that. And if you want to find good recordings of that stuff, Christopher Hogwood, L'Oiseau Lyre, amongst many who's done it, but that's why they call that. But my first set of the Shostakovich quartets was the Borodin quartet on EMI Melodia, but it only went
That
up
one
to
is also very good.
Went up to 13. And if you're into Shostakovich, you're going to want all of these. But the
He was
Fitzwilliam
far
set
more-
is
the
the Fitzwilliam
originals-
set is superb.
Oh, that's
and
a good
wonderful
one.
sound.
Greg,
Here's
that's a
this
good one.
It's 8 and 15. These are all the originals. I think the
Yep.
Decky box is a
That's a great
repress.
one too. Yeah.
So these are all on L'Oiseau Lyre.
Yeah,
Nice.
there we go.
And then here's
Oh, I've
5
seen
and
that.
6,
Yeah.
and then 9 and 10.
Oh, there you go.
So they all came
Don't
out
ask me why a
individually
British string
over, I
quartet
think,
playing-
like 4 years or something. It took to do this cycle.
Yeah.
There's 4 and 12,
Beautiful.
3
Don't
and
ask me
11.
why a British string quartet is playing
And
Russian
they're
music
all
is
like
on the
pink.
French Decadent print.
Lasalier labels.
Well, people.
Yeah, they're awesome. I listen to these all the time.
So Loiselier was originally early music, but not on period instruments. So if you're looking at early, aware of period manners, practice, etc., it's Loiselier. It's things like Handel's Acis and Galatea with Adrian Bolt conducting, of all people, a few other records. But then they actually went through this period of doing a lot of really cool modern music. In my recent video about classical records that would be great to get a AAA audiophile release, I actually showed one of these. I showed it was Stomu Yamashita doing modern percussion music, and that was on Loiselier. And it was only when the period instrument people came along that it became just early music. There we go. Yeah.
These
They're
are all my
wonderful
Loiseliers.
records. These are wonderful.
Why
And
am
they
I not
still sound-
surprised that you have these?
For some reason, I have 2 copies of 4 and 12. You know what's funny? I
Are
was
you
looking
gonna
at my
auction one?
Discogs.
Yeah, you can
Uh,
sell one. Throw it in
Yeah,
the
I'll sell one. For some reason, I was looking at my Discogs, and this was the only one that was showing up. But I have all these. Not all these, but I have a lot of them.
I mean, the thing about the Shostakovich string quartets is because they were. There
that's
we
cool.
go.
That's
We
nice.
go. Anthony
Yeah.
Rowley and James Gallagher. There we go. I mean, this is all people I grew up
This
with.
is I love this one.
Oh yes, that's one I really want to get.
Yeah, and these are back when they were still using the fold over like Decca jackets.
Oh, how lovely.
Nice.
Yeah, I really like this
One's
label
great.
for chamber
Oh, yeah.
music.
That's an
That
early
looks
Milan
nice.
before they
Should I
went
pay
to
for this?
EMI.
I
Yeah,
paid $1 for this at Wax
yeah,
Tracks in Denver.
fantastic.
Nice one.
Nice.
Stick.
This is
I
a
picked up-
beautiful. This is one of my
Oh.
favorite recordings of the 4A piano quartet.
Oh, I don't know that one. Who's on that? Is it Miloš again?
This is who's playing this? The Pro Art Piano Quartet.
Oh, okay.
So I don't. Let me. Who are the?
That is
probably
one
a-
glossy cover, man. Holy
Yeah,
cow.
it's Kenneth Salito, Terrence
Yes.
Vile, and Lamar Krausen.
It's basic. So Kenneth Silito
old
was the
art.
leader of the Academy of St. Martin in the Fields. And so that would have been just like a scratch. Oh, yeah. Oh, I bet that's great.
This was a cool one that I found not too long ago.
Oh, nice.
Weber.
I don't know her at all.
Beautiful.
Very obscure music.
Yeah, and this
Yeah,
is. I mean,
yeah.
we're in the 3-digit catalog numbers now. So these are really early. I mean, these are the same as like the 2000 series Decas.
Yeah.
Great
Can you
stuff.
Can you show the labels?
Yeah.
Oh, I have that one. That's great.
I love that record so much. That's
That
a
is such a great
beautiful
record.
This is I think this is one of those deep groove ones.
green.
Wow.
With the ridge.
And the thing is, you're going to find these in the used bins in this country.
Yeah, these do not get
Yeah.
nearly as expensive as because here's the thing. So like the London America had the London label, but there was no equivalent for like Loiselier and Argo. So they were just sending over the Argo jackets and the Loiselier jackets. And so these are the exact same jackets as what they were getting in England. And it's the same records, just like Decca. So these all sound great. And they never got super expensive. These are all like under $5 records usually.
That one's great.
Definitely an
yes, that's a
underrated
great one.
label.
Hmm.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Beautiful
wow.
cover.
Oh, I would love to get that.
Gorgeous cover.
Yeah, I paid $6 for this one, so it was expensive.
Nice.
This is probably the oldest one I have. This is the most that reminds me of like one of those early. This is a 1960.
Oh, look at that. Maurice Andre, good heavens.
Wow.
Thurston Dart, who was one of the pioneers of the early music period instrument thing.
I'm trying to think, what label is this on? I mean, this is on basically the equivalent. This is a repress. I think this is on like their version of the narrow bands, but.
Oh, it was pressed at QRP. Nice.
So Mike, are you enjoying the Shostakovich? Have you dived into it?
Immensely, yeah, it's very good. Does the panel here have a favorite of those 15? I know that I think number 8 might be the most performed of
That's
of
the
those.
most-
8 is big. I really love 10.
Yeah,
And
10,
I was actually
12. As they get later, they just get more interesting and slightly avant-garde. And
Well, they're his
Shostakovich saved his real musical experimentation for his quartets because he had more freedom
Yeah.
because
right, and
they
it's
were
his
not
internal
listened to
psychodrama.
by big party members. They were
Right.
in
Yeah.
small concerts.
What I'd like to, so I think it was 8. It may have been another one, but of those
Oh
string
yeah, they're great.
of the string quartets, there's one where it's like autobiographical, and in it he's referencing his earlier works. And I'm not familiar enough with his catalog to understand those references, so I feel like that's something I want to kind of build towards. Is understanding his
Well,
catalog.
they are his internal psychodrama of his life, the quartets, and they're pretty intense. Michael, that was a wonderful record you just showed.
Yeah,
So
I
the
actually
Weller
got that- I got that
Quartet,
from Sophia Singer.
all the Weller quartets are well worth getting.
Yeah.
He was the leader of was it the VPO at one point? Then he had a conducting career on Decca.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure if I remember right, the quartet number 10 I think was written for the Weller Quartet. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, really?
I think
okay.
so. Why don't we let Wikipedia fact check me? Let me
Which is the there's a quartet I love. I think it's around in like 11, 12, around there. It's quite short, but it's very intense and dark. And I just
it
can't
might be
remember which
12.
one.
I really love 12.
It might be 12.
That's
it's like-
really
and it's
dark.
got
It's a
these- and it's
really
got-
heavy one.
And it's ones that's got the sort of primal scream
Mhm.
strings in it. Yeah.
oh no, I was wrong. But there's some kind of connection between the Weller Quartet and Shostakovich.
But Weller went on to make some really great records as a conductor for Decca, including all the Prokofiev symphonies, which are well worth picking up. They're amongst, I think it's one of the earliest cycles of Prokofiev on vinyl outside of Russia.
Do you all know this one?
Oh yeah.
The fifth.
So which is that the original press? Is that the Cisco?
No, this is Cisco. I just picked this up. Danny, from your friend in Tulsa, High Fidelity, who Greg and I
Nice.
simultaneously found recently. Yeah.
Wait, I'm
Yeah,
sorry, you cut out
that's
for a
a good
second. Did
one.
you say that is the Cisco?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cisco.
Yeah,
That's the
a-
one I'm supposed to be sending to you, Greg.
I know.
That's a beautiful record.
Yeah.
You know,
Beautiful.
I haven't listened to that in ages, just because
I almost
I'm
bought
so
it in there, but I didn't get it. And now, see, he has it. I actually have this whole box right here
Oh God.
from High Fidelity.
Oh no
Because
kidding.
there might be some of Danny's classical records in here.
Make them small.
They
Oh,
came
come on.
from 2 collections. This one guy named Rob Weller or something.
Yeah.
And then
Ooh, yeah.
Danny's. And I
Nice.
haven't opened it yet. But
Love
I
it.
might
I
open it
haven't-
later on.
All right, that sounds
Open
good.
it on,
Did you call
open it on the
classical
Pour
live
out
stream.
a bunch of your classical records?
He was selling all Speakers Corner and those Cisco's and classic records all for like
Wow.
$20.
Oh, great.
Oh, and I'm assuming there
There's-
are none left, right?
Probably
No, there's a
not.
lot left.
So I just got the
Oh,
ones
okay.
that I didn't already have. And there was
Someone will have to send me the
Testaments,
link for that.
Testaments and Analog Phonic was in there.
Oh, yeah.
I got the
There's a
Testaments
few-
that I didn't have yet.
That's a good one.
There's
Analog
a few-
Phonic makes good stuff, man.
They're great.
They
I
do.
like them. Yeah.
Because most of their stuff now they're using Emil Berliner Studios to cut.
Yes.
Although
Mhm.
sometimes
Yeah.
like some of the older stuff they were using. I think they were using a few. Were they using Willie Mackey? I think in England.
I think so, yeah. The
Yeah.
earlier ones. Yeah.
Because I
my-
reviewed that.
those- Some of those Analog Phonics I think are the best, like Rainier Maillard recordings, mixes that he's done.
Oh, yeah. I would
Oh,
agree.
brilliant, man.
Um,
So those
But-
were licensed
Well,
from
there's-
Deutsche Grammophon, right?
but Maillard told me then analog phonic is doing nothing more from,
Ooh, I gotta get
from
that.
analog. It's all digital now.
I gotta get that.
It sucks.
They now they kind of tell you. You have to look closely, but they kind of tell you what ones they're releasing are analog and what ones they're releasing.
But he told me they're just not doing any analog cuts anymore.
Hey, by the way, I have to say, I'm really, really pissed off, excuse the French, that DG did not use those nice textured covers on the last big box set.
The Bruckner.
Yeah, Bruckner, yes, thank you.
I will say that that box set is a value though for the amount of records you're getting for
It
the
is.
price per disc. It sounds, it sounds really good. And me, I thought that, all the DGs from now on were going to sound amazing. And then I reviewed that New World, and
I haven't
if you
listened
want-
to it yet.
has
I haven't
anyone
listened
besides
to it
me
yet
listened to
either.
that
I
one?
have it, but I haven't opened it yet.
If Greg, if you hated the tail on Love Lost, you are gonna hate that.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
just
Maybe
it's
I'll just
all-
put it right on Discogs. This is
favorite-
sealed.
No, I want you to listen to this because I want someone
Okay.
to tell me I'm not crazy.
All right.
Um,
I'll listen
'cause
to it
it's-
tomorrow in the morning.
I was going
it's
to
such a
listen
good
to it.
performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
listen to it and tell me what you think because it's such a good performance. I mean,
Mhm.
it's one of the better ones I listen to. It's I have it right here actually.
The point of just
What-
system dependence.
Maybe
Nice.
I don't know. I mean, I was listening on these Rado speakers I have in for review, and they're no slouch. They
Yeah.
are. If the recording's bad, they will tell you the recording's bad.
Mhm.
Hey, is
And-
that the Tchaikovsky that you just showed a minute ago? Is that something new you got, or?
No, I've had this forever. This actually isn't. This isn't the analog phonic one. This is the one DG themselves put out.
But it's the
But
same cut.
It's the same cut as the analog phonic one, and I don't know.
I
if
can't find
how
that
available-
anywhere. It just
It's
doesn't exist.
those
Either
those
copy.
initial runs that DG did of like those early analog reissues. It's some of the best material they ever
Yeah.
reissued.
Mhm.
And they did such limited runs, and they went under the radar. Like nobody knew about them. I bought them on Amazon, and then they went away, and now everyone wants them, and they're going for insane money. The one I regret not buying is the Bernstein Beethoven box. I regret not buying that.
Oh, I have that.
I have the original.
No, I
Um,
have the reissue. I haven't listened to it yet. I haven't had time. I've got.
And
so
he
many
does a
records I
wonderful
haven't-
job with Beethoven. So yeah.
Yeah, Bernstein's late era Beethoven is actually the more I listen to it, the more I really like it.
I like his Sony Beethoven too. I have the little CD remastered set, and it's great.
Oh,
Yeah.
his Fifth Symphony is with New York is awesome. Yeah.
You said Bernstein?
Yeah.
Bernstein? I was just listening to his Rite of Spring. I was just
The Sony one?
One.
I was streaming. I think it's the Sony one. But the reason why I was listening to it is I was just looking because I did a deep dive in Charlie Parker recently, and Stravinsky is, a notable influence of Parker.
Sure.
Yeah, he loves Stravinsky.
So I wanted to start
Mhm.
listening just to hear if I could hear like Parker in it. I don't hear Parker, but I totally get like Stravinsky's sound. It just sounds so modern. I feel like, and I don't know classical all that well, but I can sense like that this is pretty exciting new stuff here.
I think if
So-
you want to hear Charlie, oh, sorry, go ahead, Danny.
No, finish your sentence.
If you want to hear Charlie Parker in Stravinsky, probably the Rite of Spring is not the one to listen to. You could listen to, I mean, even the ballet from the year before, Petrushka, I think you could hear a little bit of Parker in that. But really, it's his like 30s and 40s music, like the Symphony in C, or the Symphony. Symphony in C is
Oh, it's my favorite.
yeah. I had to sight read that once. That was not fun.
That's maybe my favorite Stravinsky piece, the Symphony in C. I just love that piece.
Yeah, and then there's
Cool.
a Symphony in 3 movements that's also
Yeah,
really
likewise.
Yeah, I love that one.
I'll revisit
So Stravinsky Rite of Spring, the one that you have to have it if you're into the Rite of Spring, if you're into Stravinsky, is Gergiev. It's a Philips recording. They use tube AKG
Yep.
mics. I don't believe it's out on vinyl. The
No, I
CD
don't think so.
is absolutely to die for.
Yeah, we
But
talked about it. It's really amazing.
the dynamic range is off the charts. Off the charts. That first movement and second movement, holy shit, man. Put on your 6-point racing harness. It's
There's apparently
You
an
have
SACD of it,
Austrian
but it's
bias for the AKGs.
So around
Oh.
the time he made that recording, I heard him conduct it live here in
Oh,
LA
wow.
with the Kirov, as it was then called. It's now the Miravinsky. And so the rap, this was in the old concert hall, Dorothy Chandler.
Yeah.
And the rap on that concert hall was always there's no bass. Was always bass light. Well, with the Kirov, there was bass.
Yeah.
And he's a very hit and miss conductor, both on record and live. But he was on that night, and it was unreal. And he stretched it out and everything. The one I love on LP is the Muti, the Philadelphia.
The Muti is really
fabulous.
good.
And
As much as
the
I don't
Mo-Fi.
like what Muti did to that orchestra, that recording is really good.
Yeah, and the
What is
Mo-Fi
that?
version is worth it.
What's that one, Mike, you just showed? Is it Decca?
Yeah, that's
it is-
Consomme.
This is a mono. Yeah. So, what do you think of Answer Me with
I love these.
with his Stravinsky?
They could be. It's a little scrappy in the orchestral playing. I have an
the
early.
winds.
I have a wideband stereo. It's a little
This is
scrappy,
a mono. I just found this and it was a
Yeah.
mono. But I
The
grabbed it.
speaker's
but-
corner of that one is amazing.
but all the
Interesting.
all the ensembles are worth picking up, in my opinion. He had a direct line with these composers: Ravel, Debussy,
What
Stravinsky.
about this one?
I actually love that one.
That's beautiful.
It's
Yeah.
very dry.
Speaking of scrappy wind playing,
Good one.
Yeah. MJ, what you reviewed the Everest Goosens one, right?
Ooh.
yeah, that is a
Today?
great sound. It sounds so good. It could be a reference disc if the performance wasn't so bad.
But isn't that true about a lot of those Everests? The performances
all of
are
them.
just- but
In
if
fact, I just bought.
you love the Cacciaturian, don't you?
the
Rob, you just
Cacciaturian
got
is
that Joe
amazing.
Jones on Everest.
Well,
Um,
Mike, I traded with Michael Mueller. He did. Wasn't I an Everest? It was an Argo reissue.
Oh, yeah.
Rob, didn't you just get that Joe Jones on Everest?
Yes, a jazz record, and
Yeah.
that thing sounds amazing. He's a drummer. He's a jazz drummer who kind of specialized in using brushes, and just the sound on the Everest.
So I
What?
didn't. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Go ahead, Rob.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say also they have these weird dolls. You pull out the record. It's a very thin, typical one.
Oh, the
Yes,
Everest. Yeah, the
They had
doubles.
the,
Yeah.
Yes, they had the thing in those days.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
still
yeah,
have.
well,
I
they
still have a
could've-
few of those.
Yeah, but those were really, really great sounding records.
So
Yeah.
I've only got one of my favorite Stravinsky records, but I only have it on the CD. They did really nice remasters in the noughts, 20-bit, and it's an album of Woody Herman doing the Stravinsky Ebony Concerto, and I think the L'Histoire de Soldat, and also maybe the Prelude, Fugue and Riffs, the Bernstein, and the sound on it is amazing. I would love to know if the original records sound as good.
They don't. I
So-
have I have like 10 to 12 original label Everest records, and none of them sound great.
Yeah.
So
But
I
the
forgot
the CDs sound really, really good.
on the History du Soldat, be careful if you get the original what label was it? There's two versions of it that were cut. One was cut with wide grooves and the other one was cut with super short grooves. Make sure that when you buy it, I can't think of the label right now. It's anyway, buy the one that has the long grooves. It sounds way, way, way better.
Are you talking about the Everest one?
Yes. Everest. There it is.
I might
Yes.
I might have that. Let me grab that. But before I do, I just want to say I was, because of my bad experience with the Goossens Rite of Spring, I was very hesitant, but a bunch of people recommended this to me, so I just recently got this. This is the Goossens Symphony Fantastique. I
Is
haven't
that
listened to it yet.
Chad's or classic?
Yeah, this
or...
is the double 45. I mean, they're I think they're classic plates.
Yeah.
But it's Chad's double 45. And then based on Greg's review, I also got this.
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
I have the 33 of it. And after I watched Greg's review, I listened to the 33 and it didn't impress me that much, but I trust that this one is going to be quite a bit better.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah,
All right,
those
I'm gonna
original
try to find
Everest-
that.
Okay, I'll show this
I
one.
tried to get those original Everests, or like years ago, I would try and pick them up, like Villalobos and Vaughan Williams and all of these, and they all sounded terrible.
And by
Yeah,
the way,
corroborate.
Hobson used the original
Yeah,
Westrex
the corroborate.
35 mil machines that were used to record them for the remaster.
Here we
Oh.
go.
All right.
Oops.
Yeah,
Oh
Boom.
yeah, that's the one.
that's awesome.
I love this set. I just love this set. It's old school Beethoven. It's Joseph Krips, so it's not, fast.
Oh, is that the
and
classic
crazy.
box set?
Yeah.
Chad should really repress that.
And the sound is there are two, and I have both of them. There are two great Beethoven cycles of this vintage for sound. There's this one, and then there's the one with Rennie Leibowitz.
What do we got going over here with Greg?
Oh, the Renee Leibowitz.
I'm
that's
just-
the,
there's something in here that you guys
Oh,
are talking about, so I'm
the Renee
cracking it open.
Leibowitz. That's the Reader's Digest one, right?
Yes, and that also sounds incredible.
It does.
I saw
Okay,
Gardner
I have
promoting
that
it.
sitting. I
Yeah.
have that sitting in a stack of records that I wasn't sure if I was going to sell or not. So I'm glad. You
Is
mentioned
that is? But do you have the original or the reissue?
Let me look.
So Fremer did a Beethoven box
It's a great
video,
video.
and he shows the Reader's Digest, and he opens it up. He's like, look at like who recorded this, like who can, like he said, this is something you can get for cheap that is absolutely top notch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
By the
I
way,
mean, there's-
symphony. What the hell was that reissue or not reissue? But that Digest Club, the record of the month club, the Symphonic Society, the
Yeah.
Longin Symphonic Society. If you can get those are all absolutely stunning reissues cut from the original analog tapes, and you can get those for dirt cheap.
Wow.
Okay,
I
it
mean,
looks
it's- I-
like. Sorry, I'm looking at this Beethoven box set. So it looks like the first one came out in '62. I have the '66 repress.
Okay, I'm talking about the dedicated reissue. I think it was done. It's done by someone like Alto or someone like that. It sounds amazing. Heavy,
Really?
180 gram vinyl.
Wow.
I wouldn't know. It probably sounds better than the original press, but don't quote me on that.
Okay. I just
Well, and
I
as
just-
we learned recently, Michael, Chad doesn't want to print any classical records, so
Yeah, we didn't. I've known that for 2 years. When I asked
Yeah.
him
There's a
directly
lot
on
in
the phone.
stock right now, though.
What, Danny,
Yeah,
what were
he's
the
good
ones-
about keeping it in print, though.
yeah.
What was the title you said is dirt cheap?
The
Recording Society.
Longin Symphonic Society.
Okay, Symphonic Society.
Yeah, it's dirt cheap.
Here we
they're
go.
all analog.
Well, here's
re-
this.
analog remasters,
Oh, I have.
and they're
that. That's
freaking
great.
phenomenal.
Yeah,
So these are all the ones DCC put out.
yeah.
They're
The
great.
DCC Everest. This is really like obnoxiously shiny. These are all really great. I think they did like 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah, they're all
Yeah,
wonderful.
I have,
Everest?
I have.
I didn't have this one, so I picked it up. But I think I
Oh.
have all the other ones.
You can still
The-
find these in the bins for practically nothing.
Oh,
I got
yeah.
a couple
20
with
bucks.
I got a couple with Michael Muller when we were at Amoeba, and they were all sealed 20
Yeah.
bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
didn't
listening to
really-
that Shostakovich 5 when we were talking about the fifth. That's a really kooky version.
Yeah, I don't like it.
It sounds incredible, but it's a really kooky version.
Yeah, he uses like I think he uses like, instead of the celeste at the very end of the third movement, he uses a marimba.
Uh-huh.
And I'm
Typical.
like, what?
That's crazy, man.
It's the same notes. Come on.
That
This
one's
Via
great.
Lobos is really great.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
This the Don Juan till Eulenspiegel. Hey Chris. And then this one's, I like this one.
Yeah,
That's a
great.
great one. Yeah, that's beautiful.
But I was actually going to show some of my original Everests, and they're of varying quality. Like, this is one of the first ones ever, and all of these are the original, like either the
Yeah,
purple
can you show
or the
the,
silver
can you show the
label.
labels as you go? Because I think you said there were a few different ones, right?
Yeah, like the earliest ones are either the purple mountain label or the ones that look like this, which are the blue and
Mhm.
silver. So this is the Respighi Festa Roman coupled with the symphonic dances in a 2 LP set. This was one of the most disappointing things I ever bought. It sounds
dear.
awful.
Mm.
And I don't know if it's the tape or the because so many of these Everests, you know, the recordings are great.
But don't
they
it?
just-
Maybe it's that second label. Maybe.
I don't know, but I've listened to a few. You know, I need to have a day where I just go through these and see. If
I
any
mean,
of them
these
are
are
worth keeping.
great recordings on the master tapes.
Like I have
we
the
know
original
that.
here, so I
Yeah.
could compare this to the DCC, and I could
Mhm.
do them back to back. I got this at Atomic for $8.99. Thanks for dragging me there, Rob.
I'm here to help you spend your money.
Yeah, this is you know, I haven't listened to this in a long time. This is the Copland Third Symphony.
Ah.
Oh, yeah.
This is a, like, I feel like this symphony is a test for any stereo because it gets so loud. This symphony gets so loud.
Yeah.
This is a cool one. I do like this one. I haven't
Oh.
ever.
Oh.
Nice.
How's the
I've
sound
never
on
seen
that?
that one.
You know, I haven't listened to it in a really long time. It should be on my to-do list.
I
This
love-
is an original purple label.
I love the Stokowski Wagner transcriptions.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
so
Oh,
good.
yeah. Well, his
Yes.
one for RCA on RCA Living Stereo that Chad repressed
It's
is
one of the best.
Classic.
It's one of the best recordings in the entire Chad catalog.
Which
It's
one is it?
superb.
Can you say it one
the
more time?
sound of Stokowski and Wagner.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That has the
Go-
black cover, the
just
black
buy
cover,
it.
red text. I think.
This is my last original.
This one.
Oh wow!
I have
Look
the
at
original
that.
with that also.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think I also got this at Atomic. What label?
MJ,
This
didn't
one?
you give this away in
Yeah.
some sort of contest?
The sound of Stokowski and Wagner? Yeah, I gave away one of Chad's reissues of it to I think Jana in Denmark or Sweden got that. I had to send it all the way here.
Yeah, I think when I went and watched you play records, Michael, you played a track off of that, and that was like the best sounding thing I think you played all night.
Yeah, the Tristan and Isolde prelude to Act 3.
Yeah. That sounded
is-
incredible on that
No,
system.
it's
Oh,
an
when
incredible-
other Michael played, I was like, when were
Yeah,
you
yeah,
watching
the
me
other
play
Michael.
records?
The other great Everest record that I don't know if Chad did it, but Classic did it is the Guyane.
Oh, yeah. They
that's-
both
Oh
did
yeah,
it.
I have
Chad
that.
and Hobson.
That's a great one.
I think I
Did
only
Chad
have,
do
I
it
have
as
the- I have the-
well?
yeah,
I know
have the
Classic did.
45.
Yeah.
Is that the 45?
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
ooh, I might have to
Stunning.
get the 45. I have the
That's
35.
I wonder if that
definitely
one's
up
still in
there.
stock.
The best sounding Everest series, period.
You know, one.
Yeah,
really good
those
one that they
sound
did
so
on
great. All the ones
Classic.
Chad did, they're incredible sounding.
This is a classic one that was not one of the film ones, and it was not one of the ones that Chad reissued. But this one sounds awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Corroboree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's available on, you got to get that on 45 single
Yeah,
disc.
but what is it like $200?
Dude, I mean, let me tell you, man, whenever I want to impress people with the sound of hi-fi that have never heard anything like it, I'm like, dude, sit down in the middle,
I'll put it on the list.
put it on the list. I'm telling you, it's freaking phenomenal.
Just
Corroboree.
staying with reissues for a moment, you know, I wrote those 2 articles and did those 2 videos recently. No sooner had I publish them, then one of the readers notified me that Decca's just about to reissue this, which is one of the great, great opera recordings of all time.
Carillon Bohème. Do I have that?
It's exquisite. It's exquisite. This is my original pressing where the book, the book is so thick. It's unbelievable. It's like, oh, this huge thing. Oh, there we go. Look at this.
Wow. You're
This
right.
is how I used to do it in this. Anyway, this is just on every level. This is one of the great, great opera recordings ever. Speaker's Corner did it, and the Speaker's Corner is even better. And I have that. And Decca's going to reissue it. Guess what they're doing? Cutting it from a file at Abbey Road. When I had just written this article, very specifically.
I want to take that guy's lathe away.
The other great carry-on one.
Don't talk crazy, Michael.
Is this one?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
The Companion.
Yeah.
These are two just sublime recordings, but oh god. And the other thing is, it's such a blatant money grab. They're putting the whole thing in like this red slipcase, and the only name on the cover is Pavarotti. I'm sorry, but it's Pavarotti and it's Morella Freni, and these other amazing singers. Elizabeth Harwood does Musetta's aria in Act 2, beyond beautiful. But if you want to know why Carry-On was one of the greatest opera conductors of all time, that's the one to listen to, because all the singers who worked with him would say he just, oh yeah, yes.
Now this is the highlights, because I don't.
I have a
listen
full
to full
set.
operas on
and it's the Rimsky-Korsakov version, and
which is not as good as the Mussorgsky version. So I wrote a whole paper on different versions of this opera in undergrad once.
Oh, Michael, so I have to interject here because we had a very good family friend when I was a teenager, a guy called David Lloyd Jones. And he was the Russian expert, and he's the guy who prepared that complete new performing edition of Boris. He went back to
the original Mussorgsky. Well, it's a kind of a
compilation. But he's the one who did that score, and I went and heard him conduct it at English National Opera, and it was amazing. I also heard him conduct one of my favorite operas, which no one knows, which is Prokofiev's War and Peace, which is incredible piece. And to see that live, unbelievable.
That is a cool piece that doesn't get played much.
But that's amazing that you did a paper on that. That's so cool.
And because it was, I don't know, I just thought it was interesting.
It is
because this was in the LP era, the Rimsky-Korsakov version. It was considered good. Like Boris Godunov is the only completed opera that Mussorgsky ever finished in his lifetime, and he had it performed a couple times. He did 2 versions. And then it didn't receive a lot of success after his death. And Rimsky-Korsakov kind of took it to the mantle of the opera and decided he was going to create a new version of it to help it regain popularity. But the thing about Rimsky-Korsakov's version is that Rimsky-Korsakov was a much more international style of composer than Mussorgsky, who was like the most Russian, in essence, Russian composer out there. And so if you listen to Rimsky-Korsakov's version, it sounds more like a traditional opera. And the Mussorgsky version has a lot of angularity in the orchestra. It sounds like Mussorgsky. And it also, the Rimsky-Korsakov version cut a couple scenes that I think make the opera better, including the outside the church scene with the beggar. Yeah. I think that scene is the best scene in the opera, and you don't get it in the Rimsky-Korsakov version. But I think this Decca sounds amazing.
So David, who was a huge expert on Russian music and English music, he was the second in command at the English National Opera, and then he went and he was the music director of English Opera North, which was a very important company which was spun off from that. And later in his career, he had a huge recording career, recording a lot for Naxos, doing a lot of English music. But the first record he ever made was for Philips, and it's of the original version of Night on Bald Mountain. And I think it's the first recording of that version. And so if you want to get in a sort of microcosm, a sense of what Michael's talking about in terms of the big opera, Night on a Bald Mountain, which was also arranged and tidied up by Rimsky-Korsakov. If you hear the original version, it's a very different piece. And that's a great record. It's just on Philips. So you can find it for just a few dollars.
Cool.
David Lloyd
I'll definitely
Jones.
check that out. The really interesting version of Boris Godunov, which I'm sorry I keep talking about, it's one of my favorite operas. The really interesting version that I would love to see a staged version of at some point is Shostakovich also tried his hand at orchestrating it. There is a Shostakovich version of this opera. And what's really interesting is there's one scene in the libretto that calls for church bells, and that this big clang of this church bell ringing repeatedly. And in both the Mussorgsky and the Rimsky-Korsakov version, they use actual bells. In the Shostakovich version, he orchestrates it. He orchestrates the woodwind section to sound like a bell.
Oh, that's so cool.
So just
Has it been recorded?
I think it's been recorded. It's not in the LP era. It's available on CD, I think, of some,
Right,
budget
right.
Russian label or something. It never got popular. But
Oh,
it's
God,
something
that
I
would be
would
so
love to
interesting.
see. Because, I mean, all these operas, you have to see them. It's just not enough to listen
No,
to.
I mean, one of the things, when Gergiev was still coming to LA with the Kirov, I saw them do Lady Macbeth of Mtsensk in its original form. This is the opera that almost got Shostakovich killed.
I saw the Met do it in, I want to say 2013.
And you saw the original, not Katerina Ismailova, the rewrite of it.
No, I don't know. The staging, I just remember the staging was really weird because it was very 70s Brezhnev.
Oh dear.
And I remember at the end, I remember distinctly at the end, because in the original version, at the end, they're in this prison chain gang, and the woman drowns the other woman in the pond. Well, in the version that was staged, they were not in a outdoor chain gang. They were in this industrialized 70s Soviet prison. And so she didn't drown her in the pond. She drowned her in the toilet.
Oh, how very train spotting.
Yeah, but that makes more sense.
Hey, Dave.
Was the toilet clean?
It's a staged opera. It's not
It wasn't a real
it's not
toilet.
David Lynch cinema.
Hey, Dave.
Hey,
How's it going?
I've picked up quite a few classical records since the last time we jumped on this thing.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to see a couple
Yeah,
of
sure.
them?
Absolutely.
I'll kind of run through them fast since there's a bunch here. The lighting's terrible in here.
No,
but,
go slow. We have time to fill.
well, I've been going out of town to gigs, and so I've been going into record stores whenever I can. So this one I found in Carborough when I went up to see Kim Gordon from Sonic Youth. I found this Bartok.
Oh, I have that. What label Columbia is that? Is it? It looks like a mono. Is that a mono?
It's a Columbia Masterworks 6i. Yeah, mono.
Oh, cool.
So
That's
this
great.
is the violin.
Have you listened to that? Have you listened to that yet?
Excellent. Yeah.
Did you
I
like
started-
it?
Because
What's that?
Bartok is not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah. Did you like
Yeah,
it?
I dig this.
Yeah.
It's Bernstein.
I love the Bartok concertos, whether it be the violin concerto or the piano concerto. I mean, I know the first
All of them.
piano concerto is a little hard for some people to get their hands on, but all of them are amazing.
Michael, when you say they're hard, what do you mean? Compositionally challenging?
Yeah, they're a little angular. They're not some Bartok is very, very approachable. Like his concerto for orchestra, I think is super approachable. His first piano concerto, I think is brilliant, but it's pretty atonal. And he gets a little more melodic as he goes along. Like his second. and
What
third
years
piano
is he composing? What's his era?
He died in, when did he die? 48, I want to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just after the war.
Yeah. He died. He has a pretty tragic story because he essentially, the war kind of threw him out of Europe, and he ended up settling in America, but no one really his music
he was
wasn't super
broke.
popular. in the United States, so he was kind of slumming it in this like crappy New York apartment. No one really like, there were conductors in the United States that were champions of his work, but he wasn't a household name, and he wasn't making a lot of money.
So Koussevitzky commissioned the Concerto for Orchestra, and that was, I think that wasn't that his last big work. I think.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's very approachable. But I love Bartók. Anything Bartók. The solo piano music is amazing. Look out for the Zoltan CDs of that. Is amazing. All of it. The ballets. And to have Polini, the Polini Abbado, Bartók first and second piano concertos done original source. It's on my list that I'm sending to them. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, I would love didn't Frixoy do some of the?
Oh, well, they were
but
done
we're
by
not-
the Speaker's Corner. Did them?
Yeah,
did them all.
I have one of
the
them.
Frixoys.
I have the 2 and 3.
Yeah, or anything Frixoy is. There's an amazing Tchaikovsky 6.
He
done on
was
Speaker's Corner.
probably. I think he was probably Deutsche Gramophone's best conductor on the label.
Well, he was supposed to take over the Berlin Phil, and it was only because he died. So he died, and then they had the stand-in Celibidache. Very interesting character. I studied conducting with one of his pupils and went to a few of his concerts in London. Extraordinary. But he was a difficult guy. But the LSO would, every year, so the way it works with these orchestras is they're doing, especially in London, the LSO, they're doing other work all the time. But they would carve out, he said, I'm only coming, you only work with me. So for 2 weeks, he would only work with them, and he would do a couple of concerts, and all the concerts I went to with him conducting were incredible. But he was not easy. So when the orchestra decided not to have him, that's when they appointed Karajan. But if Frixoy had lived, he would have been the next conductor of the Berlin Film, and wow, that would have been amazing.
If I remember correctly, I think it was an orchestra he was music director with that had that. I think it was that female principal trombonist that apparently Celibidache, there was some sexism involved in him not.
I'm
not
sure there
retaining
was.
her tenure. Yeah,
I'm sure.
And then, I mean, those conductors that are difficult, we can sit back as an audience member and admire like the results they get, but sometimes you got to remember that like the musicians are artists too. And I had this experience actually recently, and I won't. Well, I'll name the conductor's name, but I went and saw the New York Phil play Brahms 4 up in Vale, and they played Meistersinger Overture, a new piece, and they played Brahms 4, and that was with Jaap, their now retiring or moving on music director, Jaap van Sweden. And I always thought that the orchestra sounded great with him. I remember that because when I was a student at the Manhattan School, he had come for a couple trial concerts when they were thinking about hiring him, and he came and did Shostakovich 8, and I was like, this is the best I've ever heard the Phil sound in my time here. And then, going up and seeing them play Brahms 4, I thought they sounded incredible. But then the next day I got lunch with my old teacher in Vale, and he was like, yeah, the orchestra hates him because and they were very excited to get Dudamel, and the reason being is that
they love Dudamel.
Both are great artists, but what it was described to me was that Jaap has this vision, and he demands that the orchestra players meet his vision, and there's no collaboration. And Dudamel, it was described to me like it's so exciting to play with him because he invites the orchestra to make music with him.
Well, I had a friend in the orchestra here, LA Phil, who I knew later in life. He's passed on, Barry Soka. And he was not parsimonious with his dislike of Esa-Pekka. He just hated playing for him. And then he played under Giolini. He said Giolini was just, this is Carlo Maria Giolini. He said Giolini was just, we loved him. We just loved him.
That's funny because San Francisco seemed to love Esa-Pekka.
It could often be they're very upset. But I think a lot of the orchestra did and I went to a lot of his concerts, and he did really unusual repertoire, and I always enjoyed him.
I like his music. I played his
the cello concerto is terrific.
His violin concerto I played, and it has this it was exciting because it had this full page English horn solo in the second movement that was just gorgeous. And
you
and
got
then
to
like
play
one of the
it?
movements, yeah. And then one of the movements is I'm really pissed there's no recording of that, because I was playing with like Jennifer Coe was the guest violinist, and yeah, it's his music is really cool. He's got this piece for oboe and piano called Second Meeting that he wrote in the 90s that's incredibly hard, but it's amazing music.
No, I
I'm
mean,
sorry, Dave, we like
going on?
hijacked your record
Hold on,
showing.
before we go back.
No, we go back to Dave. Come on.
You know, again, I was listening to Charlie Parker and strings, and Mitch Miller, the oboist, is on there, and I was just wondering, Michael, if you have any thoughts of Mitch Miller.
Oh yeah, Mitch Miller's awesome. I mean, he transitioned really out of. I mean, he's a trained classical musician, and he kind of transitioned out of that into more like entertainment.
But he like that. They give him like he's soloing on those Parker records.
I think you know what? I think I might have a Mitch Miller record over here. Let me see.
Nice.
All right, Dave, jump back in.
Well, Michael was talking about.
Oh yeah,
Brahms.
classic.
Now this.
Oh yeah, those are great records.
Yeah. Now this is a mono. Now it had the timing strip here.
Oh,
It was radio station promo. Someone
Sure.
carefully
Oh.
removed it. They didn't quite get it all there, but it is a promo.
Those are some of the best Brahms recordings. The George Zell Cleveland ones are just incredible.
I mean, there you have a
wow,
no-brainer.
nice.
You know, if CBS, Sony was to start doing vinyl, do the
Dear
Zell
God,
Brahms
get
cycle.
Kevin Gray to cut the
Zell
Columbia
Brahms cycle.
cycle with Zell.
And do the
Oh my God.
Mozart, the last 6 symphonies.
And the Dvorak cycle. Okay,
This was on my.
we get the Dvorak, the Brahms from Zell, like cut by Kevin
Yeah.
Gray. Please, someone.
Yeah,
Um,
and let's have the Prokofiev as well while we're about it.
Oh.
Oh, that's great.
So that's the
Oh,
Mitch
wow.
That's great.
You know, I
Nice.
haven't. I've had this forever, and I think I've listened to it like once. I need to clean this and
There you go,
put it on the
Jazz Bum
table
Mike.
tonight.
Well, have you checked out his stuff with Parker at all? If not, definitely
maybe.
check out With Strings. It's he gets like prime like soloing. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool to listen to.
I
Very-
think I have that on CD. I'll have to dig it out.
yeah, it's good. And you know,
I wanted to talk about. I mean, I mentioned this in the review. For the review, I was listening to way too many versions of Dvorak 9/5, and I pulled this out, and I had no expectations for this. And this isn't even in a first press, but I put this on.
you're good. Oh, sorry. Oh, you're muted.
No, you're muted.
You're
We
muted.
lost your sound.
Give us a little mic check. All right, let's go back to Dave. We still can't hear you. All right, what you got? Woo! I got that. Oh, that's the Angel.
Angel,
American.
Yeah, it was $5.
Yeah, is it
Incredible
listenable?
work.
The surface is horrible.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It was a sealed copy.
Okay, but wow,
I know.
it's great. It's a great recording.
I know. I had to pick it up. It was $5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But good.
If you tried to get the UK of that, it would cost you hundreds.
Oh, right. But I did get this here.
Oh, another superb cycle. Superb.
This is excellent.
Is it a later pressing or is it an original 2 or 6i?
It's a
Can you-
promo.
Can you pull that out of the
It's
box?
later. It's later.
Can you
Yeah.
can you open the box up?
Yeah.
Just to show. I'm just curious.
This is like $3.
That would be so. Walter's mostly mono, right? That would be a mono recording? Given the
The
time?
late no, well, he re-recorded everything later on. Well, his core repertoire with a scratch orchestra here in Hollywood. We
Okay.
recorded down the road from where I live, and so the
Is that
early
the
ones
stuff
of mono.
on Columbia?
Yeah, it was a scratch. Some of them were done in New York, and some of them were done here in LA. Members of the LA Phil studio orchestras, etc.
Nice.
Man.
Okay.
But these are wonderful performances.
Yeah.
Nice
these
gold
sound-
label.
That's a very late reissue. Yeah.
Yeah. It was. I've been.
But I mean, if Sony were to get their act together, like EMI and Decca, and start doing what DG's doing, I mean, my God, this is a treasure trove.
What else we got here?
Isn't there an issue with Sony and their willingness to release the tapes to get cut. Like, doesn't like MoFi have to go to New York to do the DSD process and then go back?
I don't know
to
how it would work with classical. I don't know. They certainly, they're doing the nice thing is they're doing incredible CD reissues. Their CD reissues are sounding better than any previous vinyl version, other than the Speaker's Corner and other dedicated reissue, analog reissues.
Right.
But the CD boxes are incredible. Bruno Walter, George Sell, whatever.
Yeah, I need to get the George.
Yes, you should. The George Sell is if you want,
and it's on sale right now. It's like 100.
No.
Sell,
It's just
right.
like the moment you stop this video, you go and buy it. No, I'm
Like on
serious.
Amazon?
Is it
I'm
not
serious.
already in your cart?
Nobody say anything. Just leave it be until this ends.
Yeah, the thing is, if you want to
Well-
discover the core classical repertoire
Right.
done better than anyone, I mean, as well as anyone, but superb, that's where you go. And the sound on that set is incredible.
Yeah, I'm going.
Is it
to
with
go.
Cleveland?
Yeah.
Cleveland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, some of
While
those
you're at
records
it
were done
and
by
buying on Amazon, go look for the Phase 4, the Phase 400 most impressive classical recordings on CD. I'm sure it's still available.
Oh, that's
It's
great.
must have. It's just brilliant.
Okay, isn't Phase 4 London or something like
Yes,
that?
it's Decca.
Decca. Okay.
Is it their budget label?
No, it's it was easy listening film music, and then they started doing classical. But they made a selling point of going. It was beginning of multi-track.
Yeah.
And I have an absolute obsession with the label, in particular the film music and the easy listening. It's my secret vice. I just love those
It's
records.
fantastic sounding. I have not ever heard a bad sounding Phase 4, regardless of the musical content being schlock or great.
It's so much fun, but it's real stereo. It's
Yeah.
they really do that whole
Yeah,
thing.
it's super
But it's-
spot mic, right? That was their thing.
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
wrote 2 pieces about the Roland Shaw, James Bond thriller records, which Danny bought them all. It's an obsession of mine. I think they're amazing records and just brilliant arrangements to rival.
That's really weird because Danny recommended the Phase 2s to me.
All right, let's go back to Dave. What you got?
Dave. Yeah, that's a wonderful record.
I like Janacek.
Yeah, he's
so I
great.
picked this up. This is a little bombastic for me,
Oh,
but I dig it. It's
Yeah.
good. It's
well,
just,
the Sinfonietta is wonderful.
this is intense.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
Oh,
like,
I had this.
and I listened to these a while back. That one I remember being pretty bombastic.
There's
these
an
all from the
amazing.
same top?
There's an amazing Decca record of the Janacek Sinfonietta coupled with the Weber, with the Hindemith symphonic metamorphoses on a theme
Yeah,
of
I have
Weber.
that one.
Abardo. It's been done by Speaker's Corner. One of the great later Deccas. Just fantastic sound performance.
Now I found a bunch of these Philips. You were talking about the
Oh,
label. I
yes.
found a bunch of Philips Italian pressings.
Oh,
At a
Interesting.
place in Greenville, South Carolina, Cabin Floor Records, and he gave them to me for nothing. So
that's great.
this is a nice one.
Oh yeah, classic. It's a great one.
He
Yeah,
recorded a lot for Phillips, I think. I see like
Really?
when I see Phillips, it's him.
After Vox, he did Phillips.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's
I have.
that's excellent.
I think I have him doing Brahms.
yeah.
Another-
Phillips.
Ever reliable, very good.
I did find this locally. This is an interesting record. This is
All
on
right, cool.
Focus.
Welcome back, Mike.
So
Viola
I
da
don't know what
Gamba.
happened. Oh, that's cool. What?
Yeah.
What?
Oh
Viola da
no
Gamba
no
music
no!
are they playing?
Can I see who? So I used to be a gamba player. Who's playing on this?
Oh, let's see. Here's the
I've
name.
never seen that before. Yeah, I used to play some Murray, but who's the performer?
Now I like the first side. I'm not really that big on the second side.
Yeah,
But it's been a while since I listened to this. But it's the
that
first
is
side's
so
excellent.
cool. And
There's
the,
a great-
what's
There's a great Gamba Puccini not Puccini. Sorry, what am I talking about? The violinist,
Paganini.
Paganini. Sorry, thank you, Paganini. That's absolutely stunning.
How's the wine, Danny?
I need to go get some more gin. I think that's the move. I got both my flu shot and my COVID shot today, so I'm anticipating tomorrow being like a sick day. So I'm just gonna drink some tons of water.
Go for it.
Danny, have you
That's
ever
a
seen
beautiful,
this?
it's a beautiful cover.
Which one?
Yeah.
What
Have you
label
ever
is
seen this,
that?
Danny?
What label is it?
Dude,
Well,
This is
this
gorgeous.
is it's Naken, but it's Austrian. Made
Oh, I
from-
was talking about the record.
No, this is made with organic grapes from Austria.
Huh.
it's all
Never
analog.
seen that. Wow.
It's an all
This is
analog
weird.
harvest.
This is
Don't
like
forget.
this is like a day drinking like a orange rosé. Or
Pressed by QRP.
Austrian. Beautiful. Beautiful
Nice.
wine.
Enjoy.
I am.
Plated
Get that
by
chat.
Gary Selstrom.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that ironically, the guy on the cover stomped the grapes out with his feet.
Yeah.
This is good. I really like the third piece, for flute and piano. The parts
who's
that
it?
have harpsichord, or I'm not big on the harpsichord, but the piano part on this is excellent.
What is the piece?
It's Serge Prokofiev
Oh yeah,
on that
yeah.
third piece.
That's probably is that like the
Wow.
biggest piece of like sonata flute repertoire?
Yeah, it's
I
it's
don't
good.
know it at all. Do you know it, Michael?
Yeah, I've heard like 18 million flautists play it on recitals, so it's a great piece.
Then maybe I've heard it played without
This is my best
realizing.
find. This was $3.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
that's
there we
great.
go. So what can we see the label?
Is it
Yeah.
a mono or?
It's a living presence. Yeah, it's the real deal. Well, it's a stereo.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
nice.
$3.
And what are the works he's playing?
It's the Schumann and Lalo cello concertos.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I have the
That's
speaker's
lovely.
corner of that. Dave, are you good at reading dead
Same.
wax?
Yeah.
Can we know the dead wax on that? I'm very curious if it's an FR or RFR.
It is. It's a RFR-1.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I
Cool.
looked
that
I bet,
mean
I bet
it's
that's
early,
going to
but-
sound amazing.
That's
What's that
like-
like?
I'm trying to remember. I always get confused if the first run is well. So here's the thing. Some of the like the earliest I think are the FRs. RFRs come later, but for I think the 35 millimeter era of Mercury, I think they had moved on to RFR. So there probably is no FR of that. Is my guess.
Yeah, no, this one I looked at. I don't know about Discogs being correct with classical records at all, but this was the first one on there.
It varies. Yeah.
It's hit or miss. That Verdi Overture one, I have that. That's awesome.
This has FR2. Does that mean it's a later stamper or something?
Is it FR2 on both sides?
Oh, let me check.
Is that with
Hey,
Paré
Mike.
or?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Real quick. Daydream Vinyl was asking a question. Which was the definitive Goldberg variations?
Oh God.
Get the speaker's corner.
Speakers.
The one of Glenn Gould,
Yeah.
the
There's
first
a
Glenn Gould.
wait. There's
Yeah,
a
the first one?
corner of that.
Yeah.
I thought Sony did that themselves.
This was Speaker's Corners did it.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. I'm sure it's out of print, but it shouldn't
I
be
think
too
I
expensive.
know what you're talking about, but I don't know if
I
it's a
actually
Speakers
really
Corner.
quite like. I like his second version too.
Is it one of these, Danny?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
this
nice.
is it here.
How much are these?
Oh no, that's the keyboard concertos. That is
Yeah, that's
wonderful.
not the
Yeah, Speakers
the
Corner did
Goldberg.
that.
That's a wonderful,
sorry, yes.
wonderful set. That's my favorite. Some of my favorite Bach music is for keyboard concertos.
Yeah, that one is really good. I have that. I think I have it here.
That's not.
I don't remember.
That's you want the Goldberg variations.
Yes, this is this one.
And there are two recordings. That's the first
Oh.
one.
So I think
Right.
this was. I'm trying to remember what label did the reissue on this. I think it was in-house Sony, but who
I
cut
think you're
this?
right, Michael. But I think there was also a Speaker's Corner.
I'm pretty sure they did it. I know I have it somewhere.
Okay.
There are 151 versions on Discogs of this.
Well, it's the
but if
most
you narrow
famous.
it down.
It's one
Yeah,
of the
but
most
he,
famous.
wasn't he a nut? He recorded each one of those. Right?
Yeah, he did a
initials in the
re-record
Dead
for
Wax
each
are MPC, which I'm not familiar with.
I suspect that's
Mark-
Sony.
Mark, was the first recording of him playing those with the slower tempo, or was the slower tempo later?
No, it's the second recording, and I actually really love the second recording.
I love the second one too.
Yeah, it would be lovely to get that.
I'd
But
like
there
to,
are so many great Goldbergs. I love Murray. It's on CD. Murray Pariah is fabulous.
Oh, it was sorry, I misread that. It's Lex Van Coverden cut this.
Oh,
That-
Lex! Wow. Never heard of him.
Yeah, but I think this was
Lex von Luthor.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was cut at the Vinyl Room, which is his studio. It says mastered from the original mono analog tape, but
I think this is
I don't know what that means.
it here, Michael. So it had this hype sticker on it,
Yep,
Dixon,
yep.
and we have pressed at MPO in Europe,
Yeah.
lacquer cut by the Vinyl Room,
Yeah,
lacquer
this
cut
one.
by this one.
And
Lex.
it's remastered. But you see, Andreas Meyer did
Wow.
remastering.
He looks like the Lex.
You see, I think it might be a digital from a file.
Maybe
Let's see.
it sounds
look.
really good though.
It says mastered from the original mono.
No, that means it's a digital.
But
Yeah.
there's I'm not
Maybe it's
seeing
what,
any.
But you see, it says remastered by Andreas K. Meyer. He does all their digital remastering,
Okay.
and he's very, very good. He's doing all the CDs. He's really good. But I bet
No
that's cut
relation
from
to
a
Sid.
file.
I'll drop a link if anybody watching is interested in checking this out.
I never trust a guy wearing a sweater turtleneck.
But I have to say, it could be remastered from a file. But I'm sure it probably, if it's done well, if it's not Abbey Road, I bet it sounds great.
Yeah, I remember this sounding quite good. I got a question because it looks like there's a great performances version of this. What does everyone think about those CBS
Awful.
great performances?
Awful.
Really? I haven't
The
listened to them in
vinyl,
like 10 years. Yeah.
Look, basically, CBS vinyl, you want to go either for a 2i or a 6i, and it's still going to be a sonic compromise. I'm now, with those CD reissues, they sound amazing. Otherwise, you want to go for classic cuts, Speaker's Corner, the ones done by Kevin Gray. I want to slowly pick those all up. I mean, I have quite a lot of 2i. Actually, I really like the 2i's.
Well, I only asked because these great performances ones came out in the early 80s and they were all remastered. But I just don't know in what regards they were, and I haven't listened to any in years. Was
and
really
you
bad.
see them everywhere.
Yeah.
My experience with CBS vinyl is just not good. It's just
What about those CBS like master cuts ones?
okay. So
Those are from like the 80s.
So the exception is, and I mentioned them briefly in my video, the CBS half-speed mastered, which were done analog, and there's several Boulez, there's an Ormandy, a couple of other things. Incredible. The Boulez Firebird rivals the Dorati on Mercury. It's that good. Yeah. And there's a bunch of them. And, again, it's like if it would go. I mean, look, I have the Boulez CD set, beautifully remastered again. He's he's fantastic. He's a fantastic conductor. And those recordings are superb. I mean, the Varese I mentioned in my video, it blows the roof off, even on just my English pressing. But to have those done dedicated, 180 gram, that would be amazing. On CD, I mean, if you see anything on CD that's either engineered or remastered by Andreas Meyer, it's going to be great. And he worked on the Lark. He worked on that project.
That's right. That's how I know that name.
Mark, it's Charles Chuck Granada is the author of the
wonderful book. Thanks to you.
Speaking of books, I need to go grab something.
Well, also, it makes me think that Impex has a relationship with Sony and Chuck, and that Lark was all analog. So, I mean, from the tape. So, I think it is possible to put out, their catalog, their classical catalog, in that format because AB's doing it.
Well, no, it's It's possible because what you just said, people are putting out their regular stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
Hey, Mark, I've got your channel here.
Oh, hold on.
Oh my god, oh, that's great! What the hell is that?
That's
Do
funny.
you not know this book?
Promotion.
I don't know that at all.
Yeah,
This
there's
is
two. There's actually 4 volumes of it.
Hey.
2 are orchestral and 2 are like
Oh
chamber
my
and
God.
miscellaneous.
When was it published? In the 50s or something? It looks
No,
old.
this gets the stereo era. This is was originally published in '62 and it was reprinted in '78.
Oh, that's great.
So this gets like a lot of the golden age stereo recordings. It's basically a survey, and I don't have volume 2. I need to get it. They canceled my order for volume 2, but this is a cool guide of like it's basically all the living stereos, the Columbia, the EMI, like all that era of golden age. It just reviews all the performances.
But this is different. You mentioned you had something to do with the living stereo catalog, a big
Oh yeah,
something or other, which
did
I
I
would
not tell
love.
this story before?
Yes, but I would love to get a copy of it. If
Yeah,
you could
okay.
send
Yeah, we
it.
all want a
I-
copy of it.
I have it on my Google Drive. You know what? Remind me after the stream, and I'll send it.
Yeah.
Yes, because I do have that in PDF form. It's not the best scans. I was scanning it on an inkjet printer, so
Oh, that's
page
fine.
by page. But yeah, I was actually. I think I'm gonna. If I'm feeling all right tomorrow, I'll start the process of this. I wanted to start a new video series because years and years ago, I used to. Oh yes, there we go.
Jeez.
Oh god,
You
I
know,
want
actually,
that record
thanks for-
so badly.
Thanks for reminding me because I need to listen to that record on these speakers because I bet it would.
I need
Love
to
it.
get that if you said to me there's one expensive record you could have, that's it. That's what I want so
This
much.
one from France.
Yeah, $600.
You
Oh,
know,
wow, yeah.
I would.
I don't know.
She's
I don't
a
like giving. I
wonderful
don't like.
pianist.
I don't like giving things that I got as a promo. I follow Fremer's advice because they may want it back at some point.
No, wait, no,
But,
What's
no,
what's the
no.
label called? Is it like French records or something?
I
may.
just
I may.
love
Tra-
this
I could. I
pianist.
could. I could trade. I could trade you. I'd trade you something for that.
French recording company.
It's a beautiful record. It's. I'm not their
I mean,
target.
if I had the
demographic,
money,
but
I would buy it in a heartbeat.
It is wonderful. I mean,
Michael, have they put anything else out?
They're working on the Michelle Auclair. I'm
Oh,
not
wow,
pronouncing her
okay.
name right. I think the process they use for these records, I think, is going to make the violin records sound amazing. It's really hard to do piano. Piano is hard to do remasters.
Maybe probably the hardest instrument.
And
you
it was
go.
never
Yeah,
it was
the card.
never issued on LP. I have the CD set of all
None of
her
these-
recordings.
Yeah, none of these were ever issued in their original form. That's the whole point of his label.
Yeah.
Well-
So in some ways, he's doing something a lot cooler than.
Well,
than,
wait, how are
Electric.
they issued?
They
So
weren't-
these were records. So I don't know how much you know the story or if you watched my video. So this guy is.
I don't
basically
watch any
doing-
of your videos. Tell me
it's
this.
a great
Okay.
video.
Yeah, that's a good video.
So this guy is doing something kind of similar to the Electric Recording Company, where he's doing facsimile reissues. But there's a difference: is A, he's focusing on French records, but B, he is specifically doing records that were going to be issued and they appeared in the catalog, but they never were released.
There were a lot of those.
Surprisingly, yes.
Yeah.
And so for the first the Debussy record, that was originally going to be issued by I forget the exact name of the record company, and the record company went bankrupt. And so the tapes were there. It was a session. It was done. The record company went bankrupt, and then the pianist died like a year later. And so it just sat on a shelf, and it got reissued on CD in the 80s, but it never got the original analog production that it was supposed to have.
Who took over the ownership of all the titles if they went bankrupt?
Goodness
Are they
knows.
just a bank or is that? Who knows?
That label survived, but it survived under a very
Yeah.
different.
I don't know,
Wow.
BMG or one of the three. I'm sure.
I'd like to get one of those early pressings just because it has the dowel. It seems like a really cool piece.
Oh, yeah.
What's the original label called? Isn't it like the Paris something?
Disque de Français, Francophile
Yes.
Français or something.
Discophile
That's the-
Français. Discophile
Yeah,
Français.
Discophile
The
Français, yeah.
geographical boundary of
And
France.
then you can, so there's
Oi.
a whole bunch of French EMI stuff, like Samson
Yeah.
Francois, Fritons, and the early pressings of those, Aldo Ciccolini,
The biggest bonus is
and
you
the
get,
early
you get
versions have the dials.
the biggest bonus is you get a free
Yeah.
bag of pommes frites with it.
I'm in.
But they're not as pretentious as the electric
Oh,
recording.
here's a French EMI that this box set doesn't really exist in the regular EMI, but they were reissue. It's a reissue box set, but I mean, this is one of my favorite records.
Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
nice.
Oh, nice.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
the individual recordings in this box set are insanely expensive, but you can actually get this for a reasonable price. I mean, I think this is like a $40-$50
And
box
it
set.
probably
you can buy.
sounds very decent, doesn't it?
It sounds. I mean, it's got that like EMI kind of early EMI Hall sound.
And that's
Columbia
originally a-
SAX
Okay,
sound.
I have to grab something quickly. I'm going to show you, but
Michael,
I
that's
also want to
MJ.
stuff.
You know,
Right.
you're only allowed 3 get-ups during the stream, guys.
Michael, that's
MJ.
originally a French pressing originally.
So this is EMI. This is French EMI. This is issued
Okay.
on French EMI.
Very nice.
But originally no. Originally, it's British EMI.
Oh, okay. All right.
Sorry, go ahead, Michael.
MJ, what is the connection between those two symphony numbers? In term, why are those paired together? That's just
I
what
don't know.
they
I think
did.
it's, I
They
think
chose
it's
for
just
that.
the two of the big Mahler symphonies that Barbaroli recorded in stereo.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So here's something really curious that I came across. Very rarely on Facebook. But this thing popped up. It was one of these music groups, because I'm on a couple of groups, Deutsche Grammophon, carry on, but this was on another one. And this guy popped up this set of records. And I went, what the fuck? What's that? Because I knew these records in their original American pressings. And also some of them were redone by Classic Records right at the end. But this is a set pressed on French. No, I think it's German. It's German EMI. Check this out. Have you ever seen this? Any of you, Michael? This is this famous early cycle with Abravanel, the Utah Symphony, considered audiophile quality recordings. Classic did a few of the symphonies.
Yeah,
I've picked up a couple of
2
them.
and 8, I think.
And I thought, well, and I went on Discogs, there was one decent copy. And I thought, I'm just going to get this. I mean, it may not be good. It may be cut from, a bad copy of a master, or they may have sent the original masters, but this is German EMI Electrola pressing. So this might be really great. I haven't listened to it yet. Have you ever come across that before, Michael?
Never seen that.
Never seen that before.
Is there?
I love
looks
groups
really
like this
cool.
because they're all
Looks
like, I haven't
70s.
listened to this yet.
Is the label? Does it have a weird? Does it have a different label?
Well, it's Vanguard. So you
Oh.
see, Vanguard was a great audiophile label. So the original master recordings are excellent. Analog Productions, their first classical reissues were from the Vanguard label. They're great, but the American pressings are not good. I picked up for nothing, literally $1 or $2, the 7th. And I loved the performance, but, the surfaces are pretty noisy and everything. So the idea of getting it in a clean pressing. So we'll see. I'll clean it up and see what it sounds like.
Speaking of
When I was
great
just
records,
in there, when I pulled out the Shostakovich records, this one was just like sticking out on the shelf.
Oh, yes. That's
And like,
classic.
how incredible would it be if someone
Can Impex do
remastered
that?
this and we could hear it like better than it is in this form?
That would be a
This
great
is
one for
so
Impex to do.
amazing.
I mean,
The problem
Impex
is-
could cherry pick.
that except for very few circumstances, and I think even the DG stuff may have obviously knocked on the right door, I guess. But for the most part, classical records and remasters and reissues are total not sellers.
Yeah.
That's the sad part.
I think that's changing. I
I
think
think
that
that's
really.
changing. I think the DG series is making it change. Do you know
Yeah.
that Michael Fremer gets some of the biggest traffic on his site whenever we talk about classical music, and
Really?
especially
Huh.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
he's
cool.
doing audiophile stuff a lot, and you want to listen to these records in the best way you can. Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, these
Greg,
were
you
well,
showed
people.
your system. I mean, that was incredible.
what people should really grasp and understand is that in the 50s and 60s and even up into the 70s, these were the big budget, highly engineered productions. These recordings had so much money poured into them that we're never going to see again. We're only going to get audiophile chamber music from now on. We're not going to get audiophile orchestral music. That's just not happening, except for maybe in Berlin.
Well, what about soundtracks and stuff like that?
It's all Pro Tools. Everything is Pro Tools.
Yeah, just digital.
Yeah.
It's such a shame.
Yeah.
It's such a shame.
Yeah.
But Dave, show us some more records.
Oh yeah, I got plenty. I've been busy since it's y'all's fault.
But that's why also, Michael, I was trying to talk to you about putting some records out, because it's like, I mean, I could do it. Like all those records I showed you, like
I think
basically
the hard thing is getting the label. Is getting the rights.
Like if we could get licenses, we could just put all of that out.
Yeah.
Well, Danny, maybe
guys, let me know how I can help, because I think Chad wants to do it too. But
from talking to my friend, you're probably going to fall under their standard licensing fee, because I don't think they're going to tell the difference between like a pop record or a classical record. That would be
because what we were hoping was that maybe that since there wasn't a huge demand for the classical, we could get it in a little cheaper.
You're probably going to be dealing with a paper pusher or somebody like that.
Well, yeah, exactly. And like you kind of just need a lawyer to go in and make those investigations for you.
Well, we have a friend of the channel, Craig from Analog October. He's out of the UK, and he owns a record shop, and he's just starting to put out records, and he wants to do it all analog from the tape. And what are you pointing at, Mark?
Danny.
Oh, right. Yes, of course. Danny, you're a good friend of his as well. So, but the point is that, he was able to make inroads.
Mike, when you're talking about him, he's in England. When you're in other countries, it's easier to probably get
it's easier over there, I'm sure, than to do it. Because I wanted to try and look into doing some American recordings just basically because we're in America. And it would be easier. And then it's like, hey, if we can send it to this mastering engineer who I could arrange it with and just have the tape sent there. But we can't, I mean, we tried to
I think you're a perfect person
about an inroad. But
honestly, I think just to shout out Greg, I feel like if you were able to curate a reissue label, I would totally be interested in what you said.
Oh yeah, he's got a list. He's got a curation
list
already.
Like I've talked to mastering people, I've talked to Stoughton, I know what it would cost. I know how we could do it. It wouldn't be hard. It's just a matter of getting the tapes.
Right.
Or seeing the condition of the tapes.
Well, I can tell
You
you.
might
Anyone up for a heist?
No, I'm trying to remember. Because I know, like, for Mercury, I know that they sent. So because Speaker's Corner did a Mercury reissue, and I think it's because they had 2-track mixdowns that were sent over to Europe for the Mercury Golden imports that Philips did, and so those tapes are over there. And then I think the 3-track masters are still in America, and that's why Chad was able to do those darker.
But you see, what's happened with Mercury is Tom Fine has basically brought it all back in house, and he did a whole series of titles.
But you ruined all of those recordings in the.
Well, I mean, again, I wrote about this in my article, all mastered from digital files. Quite a few of them done by Emil Berliner Studios, done very well. But they haven't sold. And there's a reason why they haven't sold, because you don't do Mercury, one of the greatest analog labels, from a file. You just don't.
Aren't they like $30 too?
Yes, very expensive.
So, like, who's going to spend that kind of money on a not audiophile reissue?
Like you always see those in the shelves when you're digging for records.
I know where I always see those. I always see those at like Barnes and Noble.
And it's only like the 5 popular titles, I wanted to dig more into like stuff that I think sounds really amazing and is really amazing performances.
So the difficulty, I mean, I don't know anything about this, Greg. I would love to help you if I can. The difficulty is actually finding the person you need to talk to.
Exactly.
which is very, very difficult because
I mean, and I was in show business and had a million record deals and all this for 25 years, but it's like I don't know that person who heads the classical department at that label. You know what I
But
mean?
the other thing
That's
is you've got, so again, as I wrote about, they've decided, yes, vinyl is a thing they want to do, but they want to do it in a way to maximize their profits.
Right.
And a way to maximize their profits is to cut from files.
I'm trying to remember who owns that catalog again. Is that Universal?
Which one?
Yeah.
Mercury?
It's universal.
Yeah.
It is Universal.
Well,
And
the good news is Universal does allow the use of their tapes. They're not like Sony. Sony doesn't let anything out of the vault.
Yeah, but
Universal
well,
does
one
let
of the
stuff out
reasons I
vault.
wrote the article was really
Yeah,
basically
money.
to say, you people pay attention, because I am sure they're noticing the success of Deutsche Grammophon. I mean, the reason the series is continuing is because it's financially successful. It's financially successful. And
Right.
let me tell you, there's some amazing stuff coming. Amazing.
Yeah, and like we wouldn't want to press anything more than what DG does, even less.
No.
You know,
And they're actually
it's
going, and they're
impossible.
going to
Successful.
do another round of represses. They're going
Yeah.
to do another round of
Which
represses.
is great. I'm so happy they're keeping that stuff in print.
Yeah, not everything, but the choice titles. Again, I
They're-
know which ones, but I'm not allowed to say.
And there are
But,
plants and douche
but
that
it's great.
specialize in short runs.
yeah.
Oh, incidentally, they're going. So Rainer told me they're going to do. So one title I can tell you, which is coming, is the Karajan Mahler 6, which I was lobbying for, and it's really, oh my God, what they're having to do, because basically there are separate elements on separate 8-track tapes. So they're
Oh,
doing this
God.
huge thing. So they're going to do a dedicated video about that.
Wow.
And then for the next release, which I can't tell you what it is, the next box set they're going to do, but everyone is going to want to go out and buy it. I can guarantee. Even more than the Bruckner, I think, because it's more accessible music. They're going to do a video. Which
Does it start with B and end with Oven?
They're going to do. They're going to do a question and answer video. So they're going to do an Instagram post soliciting questions from just regular folks who buy the records, etc. And we should, when I get that information, so you can. Also
I would just love for them to do the tube stuff. I mean, I know it's not really
Yeah,
in
the
the
tube.
purview of this series because they're doing the 4 tracks, but like the Frick Soy, the early Karajan.
Well,
like
they
the
may go
early-
back to it. They may
I
go
hope
back
so.
to it.
I hope so.
I have a feeling that the Mravinsky might be on the horizon.
I
But
think
that
redo
needs
of
that needs to be in print.
I
because,
think that might be on the horizon in some form or other.
I picked up one of these, and is this essentially like an old Deutsche Grammophon? Is that
Their
the
budget label.
same?
No,
No,
it's
not
it's
budget
their
label.
early music label,
early music.
Their early music. Sorry.
Yeah,
and they're
what-
beautiful. They're beautiful records.
Yeah, what this is essentially this is like it's almost like an educational purpose.
Baroque and earlier, yes.
So Baroque to early classical, I think, is on most of them. They like to show the progression, and I guess it's curated to for some.
And the notes are like academic
Yeah.
papers.
The
They're
only problem with
beautifully
those
recorded.
The
It's a
only problem with
beautiful-
those records is it has a beep on it when you have to turn the film strip.
So the thing
So-
is,
See, this is why we need Rob here.
So basically, you have these guys, you have Loiselier, and you have Telefunken, and as you buy the
Harmonia Mundi.
records, you get a history of period
Yeah.
instrument performance.
Yeah.
And they're all analog, of course.
And
It
the
sounds really
archive
good.
are often amongst the best recorded
Yeah.
Deutsche Grammophones. Going into the digital, you can pick up the archive digital records, and they sound really good.
Because they had very different producers, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
and also
Totally different team. Those sound incredible compared
Yeah.
to normal DG 70s.
Yes, they
presses.
really do.
From what I was reading, they selected works that were not as they were less popular. So they went back and kind of just played some of the more, I don't know if obscure
Yeah,
is
they
the right
weren't. They
word.
weren't doing. I mean, they did. They
I-
probably
no one
did
knew
like
this
5
music.
versions of B
Right,
minor
so,
mass, but
there's
they were
also
doing other
level-
stuff too.
So there's so they're also preserving it for
I
years.
see those.
Well,
I
no
see
one
those
knew
a
this
lot.
music. No one knew
I
this music.
see these
at
quite a
all.
bit too, and there's so this is okay. So this is another thing to mention about these. This is an American pressing of it. I believe, because
Oh.
they spell archive.
No. Look on the label. Look on the label.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
probably
they're
German. I
always
don't think they
German.
did any.
It's a German pressing for the American market.
Right.
So that's why if you get these from different countries, they spell archive differently.
Yeah.
So the
Okay.
German one spells it without an e, and I think there's another variant too. So anyway,
interesting.
so there were but this is a German pressing. You're right.
Does it have all the literature with it and everything?
It only has liner notes on the back. It didn't come with anything. But
Is that one of those
got this in,
compilations?
and I
Because
got
they've done a few compilation discs.
I got it based on Greg's recommendation. He's like, I was sending pictures to the group, and he was like, I picked up that archive one. So I picked it up, I brought it home, and it sounded terrible. And then I was playing another record that I knew sounded great, and that also sounded terrible. My stylus was, I don't know how it got so dirty. I keep it like my record player clean, but there was gunk on it, and I ultrasonicked it. It wasn't like it was dirty. But anyway, so I played it again, and the sound on this was really nice.
They're lovely.
So yeah, really.
So
good.
of that period,
are beautiful.
they're not playing on period instruments. They may have a harpsichord, organ, whatever, but it's still modern instruments. It's only when you get into the late 70s and 80s that it starts to be on historic instruments.
And that was kind of, that trend was started by, I think, Telefunken, right?
It was basically Telefunken, and then, but they all sort of started around the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, Telefunken was one with Gustav Leonhardt and
the Harmonia Mundi records are also great for that.
Oh,
yeah,
those would be great titles to license and do some of those.
Yeah.
Like, there's a whole bunch.
Well, there's
Greg, I'd love to see your list at some point.
I'll send you the list.
Yeah.
So just to finish that conversation, it's a question of finding the right person. But right now, the record companies, they're kind of holding on. It seems like they're just sort of holding on to their assets because they think, we could make money on this, doing these as digital LPs. And I know it took a lot for Deutsche Grammophon to do this. And I suspect the higher ups were probably fully expecting it to fail. They've put a lot of money into it. I mean, just to do the Bruckner set, it cost them 3 times more at EBS to do the equipment than they thought it would cost. Wow. So, but now they're set up and they can do it all. So
I just need to jump. We have a super chat, guys. I'll split this after the live stream. So Roberto's asking, who are a few of the most popular Baroque music artists for him to
Does
check
he
out?
mean
probably
composers or performers?
Probably
Mark.
composers.
And I would appreciate if you give them the wrong answers.
Okay, well, look, I pulled out some records because we talked like several of these things ago about Argo labels. So I pulled out a ton of Argo records, but let's start here. So along with these archive productions and the early the Telefunken, people like Gustav Leonhardt, etc. On Argo, you had the Academy of St. Martin in the Fields. And these are reliable performances of Baroque music. Just go to their entire catalog, earlier on Argo, then on Philips. This is one of their most famous records. If you want to go for a mainstream recording of these works, this is as good as any.
They were doing a much better job than a lot of the big label, big orchestra stuff at the time.
I like the way these look.
You listen to like London Symphony do Handel water music, and it doesn't have that energy, that lightness.
Except the big exception is that fabulous record done by George Zell.
Yes,
of the water music.
Yeah. What label's that on? I think I have that. That's Decca, right?
It's one of those weird.
No, it's Decca. No, it's Decca.
Is it Decca? But it was reissued on Speaker's
Corner. Yep.
Corner. But there are two different. It is Decca. There are two versions: the Speaker's Corner, and there's also the King Super Analog, which is one I have. It's fabulous. The other one I love is the one on Mercury with Dorati and the London Symphony, but it's the orchestration by Hamilton Harty. So it's big band handle, but it's great. So if you want to get Baroque music, just go to the entire catalog of Neville Mariner, Academy of St. Martin in the Fields. These are on regular instruments, but with harpsichord, etc. If you want to get into period instruments, your choices are basically, in the early days, it's all the English players, and it's all the same players, but playing in free groups. You've got the Academy of Ancient Music with Christopher Hogwood on Loiselier. There's the cat. You've got the English Baroque on Deutsche Grammophon Archive with Trevor Pinnock. And then you've got the Monteverdi group with John Elliott Gardner on Erato. And those Erato records are lovely, lovely, lovely records. And then you've got Nicholas Harnoncourt on Telesymphon.
I think some of the best for a lot of Baroque that is not Bach and Handel, which a lot of that stuff got recorded very, very well in the late 20th century. For a lot of stuff that isn't Bach and Handel, I would highly, highly recommend. I know it's not records, but look at more recent recordings.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
they're all great. So on CD, you want to go for Arpeggiata? Oh well, I sent Mike you that.
Yes. Is this here?
Did you like it, by the way?
It was okay. It was definitely
it wasn't quite your thing.
It was okay. I liked it. It was good. But this was 2004, I believe.
Yes.
Recording.
And they're doing Renaissance. They're basically Renaissance, some Baroque.
And there's improvisation on this, it sounds like.
Yeah, they have a jazz clarinet.
Yeah, so like it was cool. I did like it, but it's definitely different.
It's very different.
Yeah, it's very different. Thank you for sending it.
Hey guys, on that note, I gotta run.
Okay.
My phone battery's dead, and B, it's almost 10 o'clock, and I gotta take the dogs out one more time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Nice to see you, Danny.
Peace, love, and Danny.
Thanks for coming on.
Seeing you all.
Yeah.
Ciao. Bye.
God.
You all know this one though, right?
Oh, hold on.
Yeah, that's the one, Michael.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's probably the Speaker's Corner version.
Yeah, the Speaker's Corner. I think this is still pretty reasonable.
I think.
Yeah, and there's also a King Super Analog version.
The Zell and Dorati for that piece work because the water music is kind of a unique piece of the Baroque repertoire because it was really, really meant to be outdoor, big, giant band on a boat. It's not the same as a lot of the music that was meant to be played indoors.
But if you want to go to the modern piano instrument players, yes, I mean my racks are full of their stuff. That's an amazing record.
So this is on modern piano. This is on modern piano,
it's
but
stunning.
Thoroud plays with this super. I mean, he understands the style very well, really, and this is a great introduction to. So this album is solo piano music, and the theme of the album is music that was composed for the court of Versailles. So mostly music of the court of Louis XIV and Louis XV. And so this has a who's who of French Baroque composers, but mostly Rameau, Couperin, and Lully. And if you want a great introduction to music of the French Baroque, this is such a great album to check out. And you can stream it. This came out in what 2019? You can stream it. You can get the record. You can get the CD. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I have his earlier record of Rameau. I love French, both French and Italian keyboard music done on the piano. Marcel Meyer, who we were talking about earlier, all her recordings are superb. If you want to go for Bach, we go.
All right, so
English concert,
this is fantastic, and
yes,
Baroque. So this is released in 2004 on Harmonia Mundi, which was a new label to me. Sound on this is incredible. They recorded this at Air Studios in London.
Famous. That's where you record a lot of the James Bond scores.
Okay,
that was Barry's favorite studio.
It sounds fantastic, and it's performed by the English Concert, which I didn't realize that was like the name of the play. Like that was the name of the ensemble. But they were founded in 1973 by a harpsichordist, Trevor Pinnock, and then this is conducted by Andrew Manzi, who I guess took over for him. And then there's also Harry Bickett. Is that right?
Yes, Harry Bickett.
He might be later after him, or maybe they're together. But he's fantastic sounding. I mean, I absolutely love this. That
was the Goodwill find, wasn't it, Mike?
Goodwill find. It was unbelievably great.
So
sounding.
these are all the same players in London. All those English groups are the same players. They just different ensembles, and they're still going. English Concert, Academy of Ancient Music. Andrew Mancy actually started out as a Baroque violinist. He's now a conductor. Has just recorded a fabulous cycle of Vaughan Williams symphonies. He's very fine. All of those recordings he did also with Richard Egar, with the Academy of Ancient Music, all on Harmonia Mundi. Absolutely superb. Now, the English groups have a certain style. If you want to go more flamboyant, you go to the Italian groups. You go to pieces like Giardino, what is it? Giardino Armonica. My CD shelves are groaning with this stuff. I've got all of it. There's a ton of them. And then the French, you've got William Christie with Les Arts Florissants in Paris. And some friends of mine just went to, he does this festival every year. He owns a chateau in the middle of France, and he does an open music festival for, you go and stay there and you wander around the gardens and everyone's playing music in the gardens, in the different rooms, and then they have a concert in the evening. So William Christie, Les Arts Florissants.
How do you sign up for that?
I was going to recommend.
You have to get in really quickly, and then also, so then the Italian groups, and the names are escaping me right now, are amazing. Then you've got superb German groups who are recording. I mean, right now, this is where the action is in the recording industry. These are the records that actually sell.
So the recommendation I was going to make, and I went to go look for the CD, and I don't know where it is, but some of my favorite recordings right now in the last couple of years have been made by Christophe Rousset.
Oh, he's superb.
Le Talon Lyrique. I sent Mike. I sent you the Discogs link for one of my favorite ones, which is their recording of La Nation, the Couperin cycle, and all of those recordings for any French music at all are just, and they're all on streaming. Unfortunately, they're not on vinyl, but they're so good.
They're on CD, and he's a superb keyboard player. I mean, his recordings of French keyboard music are definitive. The other person who's legendary is Jordi Savall.
Yes, those are
Jordi
older,
Savall,
but they're quite good.
He has done Baroque, but he specializes in pre-Baroque, and his group comes out with these unbelievable, beautiful box sets with a theme. I mean, one of the greatest sets, which is actually very relevant right now, is a set called Jerusalem, and it's all music from Jerusalem, from like 10th century onwards. I mean, it has beautiful literature and illustrations. So, I mean, his
music to take into your sensory deprivation room.
Yeah.
Hey, Roberto, you need to give another $20. That was not a $2 response.
Wait.
Absolutely.
By the way, that should all go to Mike because he's the one that has to pay for StreamYard.
That was so a $30 response.
But
and we didn't even get to all of them.
Has anyone seen? I know he's super mega canceled now, but has anyone seen the performance that Francois Xavier Roth did at the BBC Proms in 2013?
No, but tell us why he was canceled.
So
he's very.
I'm not going to get into it, but
he's very.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll make a comeback. I'm sure, but
I think he's a bit of a phony musically. But you'd like this concert?
Oh God, can we play this, Mike? Is this possible? This is so he did the Lully Le Bourgeois Gentilhomme, and he did it super big orchestra theatrically at the BBC Proms, and it's so cool.
Send me the link. I don't want to play it because I don't want. I really want to preserve this stream, so I won't.
True. Okay.
I won't play it, but I will link it in the description and I'll drop it into the comment.
He conducts with the fake Lully staff.
Okay.
Oh, that's great.
And it's super in style. It's super, like, the arrangements are very interesting. He does super great because this music was all short especially the
interstitial,
the music that Lully composed for these Molière plays, which, by the way, there's a movie I should show that talks about this. But
there's Tous les Matins du Monde, which was the famous.
No, I'm talking about Le Roi Dance.
Oh, okay, I don't know that. Yeah.
I'll get it in a second, but he does this. He's super inventive because these actual musical excerpts are quite short, but you can take repeats, you can add instruments, you can subtract, and he does some things in the arrangements that are really, really inventive and make the music really exciting.
There's a wonderful Deutsche Grammophon recording, and it's on vinyl too, of Mark Minkowski. It's called Rameau Symphonie Imaginaire, and he's
I think I have
basically
that.
gathered together all that kind of music and made a through composed.
Yeah, the sound is
kind of
terrible,
piece.
but it's a great.
It's
It's a
wonderful.
great performance.
Just get the CD or stream it. You know.
I know. I have the record.
Yeah, I have a record too. But anyway, Dave.
Yeah.
which is
Well,
still-
before-
I have a
I
bunch of
think-
records.
Mark, I think
Before Dave-
everyone is falling
We're-
asleep right now.
Well,
are
we're
they?
gonna. Sorry.
Can't Dave finish a few more records?
Yeah.
Well, he
Also,
showed
we'll,
up.
we'll go another half hour or so. Then I'll have to wind it down. But
Yeah.
there's plenty we can get into.
I can do these quickly, but I wanted to show this one because
We
this
know
one came
you
from one of
can,
our-
but we can't.
This one came from one of our panelists. This is Lower River from Mr. Muller.
Oh yeah.
All
Thanks.
right.
Thank you. Thanks, Dave.
No
Dude,
one likes an ass
My
kisser.
favorite of yours, easily.
No
Well,
one likes
can
an
we
ass-
see?
Oh,
can we
thanks.
see the cover?
It's
I'm
an
not
all
sure I
black
know this
cover
one.
with the mountain on the top. It's hard to see on my terrible lighting, but
Yeah,
Right.
actually, it didn't come out properly in the printing.
I like it though.
The
this
actual-
one. Because
Michael,
it's
this
stuff-
is one
it's
of your
stuff-
My mom does
older-
not like that.
Is
That's
that
a
one
really
of your
nice
older? It's one of your older
This
records,
is first.
isn't it?
Isn't it?
Michael?
The King of the. Yeah, that's my debut.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was
I
that?
was just
Mike?
gonna show this. This movie's
There's that
awesome,
movie.
and it's hard to find. I had to buy this on eBay for like $40, but this is a
Whoa.
movie that came out in the '90s. It was by the director of Farinelli. If you've ever seen that movie,
Yeah.
this
That's
is a
the movie
great
about
film.
the guys they cut their wee up so they could say
Yep.
that, right?
This is a movie that's about it's about Lully, his relationship with the king, Louis XIV, and also Moliere, the playwright. And it's called
Wow.
The King Dances, and it's about the king's relationship to the ballet throughout his
Oh,
reign.
that sounds wonderful.
It's so good, and there's so much amazing music. It's,
Who
it's
did who
one
did
of
all the music? Did Christie do it all?
I think. Let's see. I don't know. This thing's all in French. I'll look. Keep
I've got
talking.
to try and find that. I'd love to see that.
All right, back to Dave.
I got a bunch of guitar records, kind of segueing from Michael, his
You're-
record.
You're really going slow, man.
Oh.
This is fantastic.
Cool. Ooh, that looks
Oh,
great.
Oh my God, that
Is
looks
it a label?
really old. That must
That's
be.
yeah, it's an
even-
original Decca.
Is it
Is it-
even 40s? Is that 40s
Yeah,
or
that's-
50s?
it's
Can you
old.
show the label on that?
Yeah,
I think
Is
those
that
Segovias are
American
even
Decca? Is it
earlier.
American Decca or English Decca?
I
What's
think
the
this is a.
American Decca.
I have to look.
That
up
looks
this
like it
is-
might be
Around
American.
Decca.
Still has the insert and everything.
Nice.
Probably an American Decca, but
Yes.
Yes, that's an American Decca.
Those sound good.
But it's
I
the
have
first
a Beverly,
American.
I have a Beverly Kenny on that label. It sounds really good.
this
No,
was also
those
everything was
those
$3.
rainbow label Deccas are terrific.
I have a Who Tommy on that.
I think I have a Louis Armstrong on that too.
That's a this. I love this record a lot. His style, and so I found another one. of his.
He's
It's just
wonderful. I mean,
cheap
he's
one.
ground zero for guitar. Yeah,
Mhm.
fantastic piece.
Yeah.
So what year is he?
God,
Sure,
what
Is
is
he in,
that?
is he in the 30s, 40s?
Oh, God, I don't know.
Yeah, when he was young. You know,
What
there's
flavor
on
is it?
YouTube, there's a really cool documentary about him they filmed later in his life when he kind of lived in that castle up on the hill in Spain. And it's really great. I think it's like an hour-long documentary. It's just on YouTube. You can see
Oh, I'd
it's
like-
so
yeah, I'll
cool.
check it
And it's
out.
all interviews with him
What's
and
his
then
name?
just him playing solo like in his living room.
What's his
Thanks,
name?
Greg. I'll check that out. for
Andre
sure.
Segovia.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's awesome.
Okay,
It's
so
a
I
killer
have-
film.
this is different than
Oh,
Segovia. It's
oh, yeah, that's so cool. I've never seen that record.
this
Yes,
Narciso.
yes,
Yeps.
yes, it's great.
Yeah, he's. I like his stuff, and there's more of his records I've found, but I haven't.
He
picked
did a
them
lot
up.
of great recordings on UK Decca
Oh, really?
with
Yeah, well, he's
with De
so,
Burgos.
so the
in that period.
definitive for me, Rodrigo Concerto is the one on that
Yeah, yeah.
originally came out on Spanish Decca with
Mhm.
Argenta conducting, him playing, and that's in that Argenta edition box, and it is
And
beyond.
it's also you can also get that as a
exquisite.
blue back, right? I
Any
think.
Yeah, you can get it as a blue back. Yes,
Yeah,
you
I
can.
have all the blue backs of all those recordings.
Yeah, you
that's
picked
the
those
one.
up at Counterpoint. You got
This
them
is
all
the
there.
this is
awesome. awesome.
Yeah, I got him a counterpoint.
Yeah, I saw them in
But
the
I had a
bins.
bunch of them before that too. Those were the couple I needed.
So were the London? Did they sound good?
Incredible, man.
Yes, they are.
Those are
you
in
know?
those are in the pile for when you come over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm coming over.
So I got-
I'm never
So Mark,
leaving.
I was. Oh, sorry, Dave. Before you show a record quickly, I was
You
going to
have
tell
more
you the
records?
music director for that movie was Reinhard Goebel.
Oh yes,
I
of
don't-
course. Music
and
out
then,
Antigua Cone.
They had a couple harpsichordists, Michael Fürst, Christian Rieger, and Andreas Sparing.
I've heard of Andrea Spearing.
Okay.
So that's to answer that earlier question of great Baroque artists. That's the other one. Musica Antigua Clone, Reinhard Goebel, recorded on Deutsche Grammophon Archive. Their recording of the Brandenburg concertos. Oh my God, it goes quick. That third concerto, it's so bloody
Good. It
fast.
We just played the. I mean, there's no oboe on it, so I was sitting there. But we just played the third Brandenburg on Saturday.
What did they do in the middle movement? Did they actually do something or just play the two chords?
I don't remember. Wait. The third is the violin one, right?
The third is the one with da-da-dum, ba-da-dum, da-da-da. If I got them mixed up, or is that the fourth? Da-da-dum, ba-da-da. And then the last one is and if you want, and on the will,
who's the soloist in that? Is it the violin or the harpsichord? Because the harpsichord is the fifth concerto, I think.
the harpsichord's the fifth, but I often get the third and fourth mixed up. But I think the third is the one with the violas, and the and if you're doing, I think it's gambas if you're doing it. Or
No, they didn't have gambas.
But
all I remember is I was trying to pass out because I was
but
playing
again,
in this
a
old
very
church
quick
downtown with
aside. For those of you who are just dipping your toes in Baroque music, if you want to have some real fun, track down the Walter Carlos Moog versions of the Brandenburg concertos. They on CBS, so much damn fun. And they actually did those half-speed mastered, but the third, I think it's the
They're
third
all
concerto.
Moog?
It's all Moog. It was the first record, all Moog, and it
Not
kind
the
of
Dick
set
Hyman? Not the
it's-
Dick Hyman record?
It's around the same time.
This?
Yeah, they did. So the famous one, that's the one. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I see those all the
but
time.
that's a different version
That's
of it.
quad. Looks like a quad.
that's the rare Chilean press.
And
There we
just
go.
see what the concerto is. Yeah, number 3. It's the Brandenburg Concerto number 3. That's the one, which has the middle movement. It's just 2 chords in the manuscript, and Walter Carlos goes nuts in his version with all kinds of weird tweaks and twonks and funny moody things going on. It's hysterical. But that recording actually anticipated the period instrument performance. He actually does it kind of authentically, and it was very influential to people doing Baroque music, that recording. Yeah.
I would love to hear it. It's very
It's
cool.
great. Oh, it's fantastic. I'm sure you can stream it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. In a few minutes, I'm gonna have to go and put the kid to sleep.
Okay.
But I want to show some records.
Yes.
Okay.
The bane of Mark's existence. But what I want to talk
Oh
about,
God, I feel so bad about that.
what I want to talk about is Lyrita, or Lyrita. How do you pronounce it, Mark?
Lyrita.
Lyrita.
I would call it Lyrita.
Yeah.
I
So
have a pile of them.
I've been trying to collect a bunch of these.
That's
This
that's the one I did in my video.
This one is incredible. I should just.
Superb.
Well, they're like sealed with the.
Yeah.
But the one thing I really like about them is,
Well, they're
as
essentially
long as I've been listening to classical recordings, a lot of these composers and conductors and orchestras are completely unknown to me.
Oh yeah.
So it's like the repertoire is so fresh and new. Like this is an incredible recording, but like I had never heard of Rubra.
Edmund Rubra, and he wrote symphonies and
like this one, Cyril.
Oh, that's
Greg,
pretty
you
rare.
turned me on to the Bach symphonies, and I got 2 of
The
those.
Bach, that's the one I'm
Oh,
showing
the
now.
backs are
I
amazing.
wanna get all
I've
of them.
got that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
This
great.
music-
What label's this, Greg?
This is
Lyrita.
Lyrita.
Yeah.
which is
It was
essentially
a sub-label
Decca.
of Decca. Yeah.
It's essentially Decca. So like this guy had this, he wanted to do all English music. I think he started the label with this record,
Yeah,
with the John Ireland.
absolutely. Yeah.
And so he got Kenneth Wilkinson to record with the Decca team in Kingsway to do all British, somewhat modern composers. You know, I mean, I think.
Oh yeah, they're all they're early.
Yeah.
Well, they also do
like
Elgar and stuff.
They were
but
all
it's
living in this
mid-century.
period, right?
Yeah.
But this cycle, I have two of them. I'm trying to find all of them.
Yeah, they're
But
wonderful.
This acts compositionally. This is like really advanced.
Oh yeah.
Music, and it's so interesting and intricate, and like it borders on avant-garde, but it doesn't get into tone rows. Like it doesn't get into chromatic annoyingness.
It's that kind of like
still
Gordon
tonal.
Jacob avant-garde.
Yeah. It's like it's cool.
I love
And
20th
then-
century British music because it's so like it's experimental in all the most boring ways in a great way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I was just gonna say, this one I had
Yeah.
never heard of this person.
Yeah, he's superb.
This violin concerto is really
Yeah, John
beautiful.
Georgiadis was the leader of the London Symphony Orchestra at that time.
This is like super pastoral and like even kind of
It's gorgeous.
mellow, and it's just really pretty.
Vernon Handley, great expert in English music.
These, do you know this, Mark?
No, now that I do not know. I don't never even heard of him.
And there's two.
Oh, you stumped him.
They're in a set.
Never heard of him.
I'd never heard of this at all, and I was like,
Do you like it?
yeah, I like it a lot. It's really.
They're off
That's
corners.
have
I'd love
to
to
listen to it,
when I
you know?
come over.
What's that?
I said I'd like to listen to that when I come over.
Yeah, when you come
Never
over.
heard of him.
And then I'm going to show a couple more records, and then I got to get out of here. This is great.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is-
Oh, that's a
Bravo
classic
Parrots,
record.
yes.
Classic.
This
I just-
just came out. It was funny. I was like texting Michael Mueller, and he was like, "Oh, I just got this record," and I was standing in Amoeba in front of this, and then I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna get it," and then he was like, "I was just at Amoeba like a half hour ago."
And that's the
But I have
classic.
the original of this. I haven't like shot them out to see which one is better or whatever, but
Does
really-
it have
Sounds
the,
pretty good.
Does it have the Cantus in memory of Benjamin Britten on it?
Yeah.
No.
No, that's the
Oh,
other.
does
No,
it?
yeah, it does. No, it has the Cantus, but I don't know if it's.
Isn't that the
thing-
whole second side?
The whole second side is tabula rasa.
Oh, that's
So
the
then
two.
you have the fratres, the cantus, and then the fratres, the first one with Keith Jarrett playing piano.
I mean, this is one of ECM's classic, famous classical records. Is that a
Yeah,
reissue?
this and like the
Yeah,
Steve
it just came out.
musicians, and there's a few really classic ECM.
Are they remastering them from digital or from analog? Because some of these are analog. These early ones. Do you know?
I don't know if it was or not. Do you know,
It
Michael?
doesn't specify. I would guess digital maybe,
Probably.
but
I would
it sounds
guess
pretty
It
good.
don't specify as digital, but it could sound just great.
And then this
the
is
Kramer,
It's amazing.
the Kramer on violin on that is insane.
yeah, it's
Oh.
so good.
Well,
It's so
Kramer,
good.
Gidon Kramer's catalog, God, he's amazing.
My favorite piece by him is the Spiegel, I'm Spiegel, with the violins and the piano.
Mhm.
But I don't know if you can even get that on vinyl. I always just stream it when I'm
A lot of
painting.
it's
That's kind of upbeat for you.
Yeah, it's a little upbeat, but it's got some darkness in there.
Yeah,
Hey, here's someone you need
Lots
to
of
check out.
space.
It's an amazing British pianist called Joanna McGregor.
Hmm.
And she works a lot with contemporary musicians. She teaches at, I think, either Royal College or Royal Academy. Her catalog is amazing. She started out recording for Collins Classics, and she did what I consider benchmark performances of Bach, Messiaen, all of that stuff. But she did a couple of records of a sort of mixture of different kinds of modern classical, and a couple of those are superb. I mean, one of these pieces is by, God, this is really obscure. He's an English guy called Nitin Sawhney, who makes these amazing records. It's kind of Asian mixed with world, mixed with techno, fantastic stuff. but her records are superb, and you can stream some of them, and some of them you can find on.
Mhm.
But she did a wonderful recording of the Cantus in memory of
Awesome.
Benjamin Britten.
Yeah, what's that guy's name? Yevgeny. What's his name?
Oh, he's the pianist. You mean Lutkin or?
When I was going to show this one, I don't even know how to pronounce her name. I'm going to butcher it. But it's Eleni Karandrau, also on ECM, which this is like very classical.
Oh no, she's this amazing Greek composer.
Yeah.
And she writes.
And I would like to say for you people who who listen to ECM and jazz recordings and stuff,
she is superb.
I would have to say this is one of the only recordings I've ever heard where Jan Garbarek comes in and doesn't just butcher the whole piece. He's actually playing.
Well, are you a fan of that album he did with the where it's saxophone with medieval vocal music?
That's cool too.
I quite like that.
I like that. I think his own records are cool. Like when he's the composer of the songs and he's the soloist, but I think when he's the guest saxophonist on records, it's like you could have this beautiful, sublime ambient music, and then he just comes screeching in like for no reason. And
so she is a very major contemporary.
Yeah. But this album is a compilation of her film scores, and it's just so beautiful. It's not easy to find or cheap, but.
Is it a reissue or is it a?
No, this is an original.
Yeah, that I would love to have.
New series.
Yeah,
the
classical and
the ECM new series is mostly modern classical.
They emailed me and they were like, "Hey, do you want to review some ECM records?" I'm like, "Yeah, I could." Like, I write for Tracking Angle. We could do it on Tracking Angle, and then they never got back to me.
That's weird. Like the only. I think ECM is one of the only labels that I still buy new releases from.
Well, they did.
They still put out material all the time. That's
constantly.
Incredible.
So, my only video that ever got taken down was because of ECM.
They released some of the early John Adams recordings, which put him on the map.
Yeah, I think. Are they the ones that did that? His famous music for 18 musicians recording.
Well, that's Steve Reich.
Yeah, I think John Adams. Oh,
they did.
John Adams
harmonium.
The huge choral piece, which it was my introduction to him. I was in Tower Records at Piccadilly Circus around probably 84, 85 or something like that, 83. Mm-hmm. And on came this music and I went, what the hell? Harmonium. What is this piece? This is
harmonium,
so cool.
Right?
Yeah.
I've always liked Adams operas. Like that's been my primary engagement with Adams has been.
I love him. I've been to quite a few premieres here. So when I worked at in public radio, the wife of one of the announcers was singing in the original production of Nixon in China.
Nixon in China is amazing.
So,
I hear Anthony and Cleopatra is quite good.
Goddess free, and a very good friend of mine, her best friend was the librettist on that. So we got free tickets and went down to DC and saw Nixon in China, that premiere production. I remember this funny little man coming up to me. He was tiny and he had hair right up like this. And that was Peter Sellers, the strangest little guy. He was like one of the most famous opera directors in the world. But they would do a lot of Adams premieres here in LA.
Atomic.
And I went to
Dr.
quite a few of them.
Sellers did a version of A Hard Day's Night on vinyl. He did. Thurston in a video.
Oh my God!
The last
I remember.
The last record I want to show. I've been collecting these a lot. If you like Indian classical music, so EMI, and these are basically just like postage stamp EMI.
Yeah, I never even see. What's he
There's
playing?
A ton of these, and there's more popular. Like there is like. Ali Akbar Khan and Ravi Shankar and those people, but like the repertoire is great. And then later it gets almost into a kind of like a Bollywood sort of thing, but like real Indian classical rock.
So I used to go.
Fantastic.
And like one of the things I wanted to say though, really, is these are all. Here, let me see if I can get this all out.
I never knew EMI.
But these are like they're his master's voice, but they're all pressed in India.
Oh my God.
But
Whoa.
I'm just letting you know that the pressings from India are nice.
Really?
They're
Wow.
really nice vinyl
I would love to
on
get
all
that.
of these records. And I've been trying to hunt some down. And I was at Amoeba the other day and there was like 3 or 4 of them.
Got to be
And I
kidding.
grabbed a couple and this is just, the sound is
It's in
sublime. I mean, it's like
pristine condition.
beautiful.
It's in beautiful condition. I used to
Yeah,
go to a
beautiful
lot of
condition.
Indian.
Yeah, here's one.
Yeah. Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
EMI, Odeon.
Yeah. And so, yeah, just imagine like EMI recording beautiful sounding chamber music from that era, except they're just doing Indian classical.
This one's
like, it's so good.
Odeon EMI.
That's in the imported, but on
It's the same thing. There is no
slap a
Odeon. It
Odeon
has like a
sticker.
sticker.
It's just the importer.
Yeah,
There
it
we
has
go.
a sticker over it
Yeah.
Because they didn't own the rights
Mhm.
to the nipper.
to the dog.
So
Yeah.
when I last lived in London in the early 80s at the Proms, they
Thanks,
would
Rob.
every year they would do an all-night concert of Indian music. It would start you. So I remember going to see Bernard
That's so
Haitink
cool.
conduct Bruckner 9 and Mozart,
Mhm.
and then we went and had something to eat. And then we settled in for Indian music from 11 o'clock until
You
7
had
in the
something to
morning.
eat and smoked a little pot, and then you went
Well,
back to
and the entire Indian community would come out, and it was amazing because what they would do is, because this is how they would do classical music in India in those days. It's all built around rags, and it's very
Mhm.
similar to jazz. You have a melody basically,
head.
and sometimes or a chord sequence, and that is stated by your instruments, and it can be sitar, or it could be sarod, or it could be vocalists. And then they just basically do an instrument, an improvisation for anything from an hour up to 2 hours. And for different parts of the night, there are different rags, historic rags, which have the quality of that time of night. And the reason
most
they would
of
do
them
this-
are based on that of times of day.
And I went to this concert 3 years, and my best friend, who was actually studying sitar, he also arranged some wonderful Indian concert at university. Particularly, a famous player I can't remember playing sarod. But the wonderful thing about the Indian music is if you really concentrate on it. And the other wonderful thing is the audience interaction. They interact with the musicians. It's like the musicians do a particularly cool turn of phrase or something, and all the Indians go, "Oh, that's very nice." I mean, literally, they start.
They know the ragas. Yeah,
and they talk. They like literally talk to the musicians, and it's in the huge Royal Albert Hall, and
Morning
all
and
these
evening
Indians,
ragas.
and it's. If you really concentrate on this music, it just cleanses your mind. It's like going into meditation because you have to concentrate so hard to really follow the music, and it's wonderful. And I never
That's kind
knew
of
EMI
how
did those
Philip Glass is for me.
yeah.
very similar.
Greg, do you have a lot of Indian classical?
Yeah, I have a lot. You know, I mean, when I lived in Marin and I played in this band, and we were like on Grateful Dead records and stuff, and Ali Akbar Khan had his school there in San Rafael, I think, in Marin, and I think it was like the first Sunday of the month. He would just have kind of like an open jam, and you could just go, and I would go and just play guitar.
Oh, it's wonderful.
But it would be like the craziest people. There would be like Santana would be there, and just whoever was around in Marin. And it was kind of like a thing, you know? And I knew about this because like the drummer in my band was Mickey Hart's son, Creek. So I think Creek had gone kind of way back with him. And
I just got a record with Mickey Hart on it.
I have all of the Mickey Hart records. I actually just got the record of his incidental score from Apocalypse Now.
Oh, no kidding.
Which is fucking incredible. If you can find that record, go get that record, man.
I never knew it was
It's titled The Rhythm Devils, which is basically Billy and Mickey. Yeah, that Digga Rhythm Orchestra.
Yeah,
that's a heavy record.
That looks incredible.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable. I mean, it's just a bunch of guys on tablas and Mickey Hart's on traps, gongs, timbales.
But then there's like a song on there too where Jerry comes in playing. It's killer.
Yeah, this is a good record.
That looks an amazing record.
Yeah. But yeah, Indian. I've listened to Indian classical music for, I don't know, 20 years. Like I've played in bands where I've had all my strats tuned open and had sympathetic strings, and
That's so cool.
Always really been into that sound and style of playing more so than you have like an A section, a B section, A, B. It's like you're just moving through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This came from Permanent in LA.
Oh,
is
yeah.
it a recent reissue?
How much did they charge you for that?
It's an original. It might have been $20 or something.
That's not bad.
If I just look it up under Diga, will I find it? Just
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Diga Rhythm Orchestra or Mickey Hart.
Okay.
Diga Rhythm Band.
I guess I've never super collected with Indian classical music, but I tell you, many years ago, one artist that really did connect with me and made it. The genre I kind of got into was Qawwali and Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. That music I think is outstanding, and I need to get it on vinyl. I don't have any.
Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan is amazing.
I like the albums he did with the later albums he did with
Peter Gabriel.
Yeah, Peter Gabriel's label are amazing.
Just
he's on one of the albums.
Yeah, like one other thing about that kind of music, one of the best labels that captured a lot of those guys is Water Lily Acoustics.
Yes.
Out of Santa Barbara.
Well, we talked about
that. Records. I have a couple of them. They're just stunning. They're so beautiful. And then he did the one with Ry Cooder, right? That's been reissued.
It's Harvey Alexander. And if Danny was still here, he would tell the story about how on that record with Ry Cooder, he was there in the mastering session and handled the tapes. And
yeah, they just recorded. I mean, I had a restaurant in Santa Barbara, so like there's a little church kind of like downtown.
Is that where they recorded?
Yeah, they recorded everything
right
in that church with like, I think just stereo mics. I think that was
very simple.
With like the hall acoustic of that room, but they're all super beautiful. Like, I mean, they're hard to find now, but they're really great records.
I've got a few of those. You know, the other label that did a lot of that recording back in England in the day was Nimbus. They were on CD. They did a lot of that stuff. I mean, this was all just as world music was exploding in the 80s. I mean, I was in London when that was happening, and there was this particular club I went to in Camden. It was just a huge room, and that's where I heard some of that first African music being played in England, that would then sort of appear on Paul Simon and Peter Gabriel, but this was around 82, 83. That was the thing in London right there. So exciting. Just great stuff.
I still listen to that all the time. Tumani Debati.
That record he did. Is he the one who did is he the one who also did a record with Ry Cooder? That's that one for one with Ry Cooder. Is that him? Yeah.
That's him. No, it's Ali Touré.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
He plays Cora.
Yeah. That's a great record. Great.
What's that movie?
Okay, guys, I gotta go.
Yeah.
It's been super fun.
We probably should wrap it up.
Let's try and do this again. Like,
Mike, we can't hear you. We can't hear you, Mike.
Thank you. Yeah, let's wind it down. Thank you guys for joining. Thanks for everyone watching. Please drop a comment. I'm going to leave links to everybody's channel in the description so you can sub up to everybody there. And then also, we'll try to get together again. We'll try to get together again maybe December, January to catch up and see what's going on. But I just wanted to thank everybody again. This was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Having us.
See you, everybody.
All right. I guess we're
Bye-bye.
All right.